All right, Robin, we are live.
I see that. We are live. Good morning, Dave Feldman.
Good morning, Robin. It is 9 a.m. where I'm at. I'm coming to you from New Orleans. New Orleans.
I was
And
wondering where in the world you were. So that's. Have you even made it home yet?
I oh my gosh. I had so yeah, for the people who don't know, I was literally in Europe for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, something like that. We were all over the place. So it's true. Trying to keep track of where I'm at is a bit challenging. And even now, we this premiere is landing right at a time where we happen to also be in New Orleans. So let's jump to the meat of the matter. In 3 hours, our film is going to be worldwide. People can go to YouTube right now. If you just do a search on Cholesterol Code documentary, you'll see it. Or, of course, you can go to cholesterolcodemovie.com. We'll be able. You can just hit the link right there. If you haven't already, you can set up notifications. But we're a notification right now.
Yeah, we've confused the notification system. But you're not on the movie page. We're not streaming from the movie page right now.
No.
We're streaming from your channel. I'm looking off to the side here because I'm about to share. I'm going to grab the link and share it in some places so people can see it. Although I know you notify a gazillion people. I don't have quite that amount of followers, so I'll give it a quick share and see if we can get some people to pop in the chat with us while we celebrate. I mean, I just woke up so excited this morning. I usually sleep real sound. Nothing wakes me up. Once I'm sleeping. But this morning, my eyes popped open, and I was just super excited. It's the day. It's YouTube release day.
Yeah,
The moment
absolutely.
we've all been waiting for.
It's fascinating because I really never. I don't know about you, Robin. I never feel like I really internalize this whole thing. Like it's still kind of surreal to me, if that makes sense. And just kind of crazy because my journey began like 11 years ago. But the fact that this film got made and documented the last 4 years, in particular, especially with regard to the study itself, and then got to wrap in so many amazing stories like yours, is such a delight. It feels like a big capstone moment, right? And I really want to take a moment to applaud you in particular because you, I feel like I relate so much with you in that I had a story of struggling with something that led me into all of the science and everything that I've done. But I just had like an A1C of 6.1, which is nothing to be dismissive of. But my story that kind of got me on the trajectory is nowhere near as in depth as yours, and what it took that you had to work through and ultimately to find keto itself. And I love that we have that so richly preserved within the movie, and that you've really taken your story and your interest and your drive and have preserved it and brought it forward into the podcast that you're doing now. By the way, shout out to your podcast, which what you're on like the 50th some episode, 60th, something like that.
Yeah, I've just crossed over 60 episodes, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, Keto Biography is the name, and yeah, so it's been a couple years, but this past year, like I really totally ramped it up, and it's it's getting a little bit of a following now, which is very exciting because, as you are well aware, producing a podcast is not the easiest thing to do. And I don't have a team. I'm just me doing the stuff. So, it looks homemade because it is homemade, and that's okay. It keeps it in my mind. I'm channeling authenticity. People might want flashier, but you're going to get what you get from me. That's who I
Yeah.
am all the time. That's life. You get what you get from me. But I agree with you about the stories. I think the stories are so important. I mean, here you are working so hard on getting the science to back these stories, but it's really still story first. Your story of finding this little anomaly here and what you were able to manipulate and control that nobody thought you could actually do. That's your story, and then you've been able to back it up with science. What most of us, or I don't know, I'm speaking as if it is most of us, but for me, I don't know how to make the science back my experience, but I can share the story and I can talk to other people who are in that same situation. They have an incredible story. A lot of us are waiting for the data to back us up.
Yeah, and listen, that's what it takes. You know, if there's anything that I feel like my story is illustrated, it's that we need people just like you, because it's just not enough. I wish it were. I wish it were enough to be like, guys, here we have both pieces we believe, which is the mechanistic side, but also what this movie follows, which is the study itself. And now we have a little bit more information on the risk side, and we're sharing it with all of you. But at the same time, uh, conceding that there's still so much more to go, right? But part of the challenge is that, well, as you kind of see in the film, there's sometimes a little bit of a headwind against against kind of the process, and I don't know, some amount of that is to be expected. But it's ultimately it's still working, and things like this film are what make that possible to get more people to become aware of what's out there. I mean, I are you excited? Are you as excited as I am that a lot of people may actually be opening this to watch something on cholesterol, and then they discover a lot of this emergent science with regard to how keto is being used by many people like yourself for things not thought at all to be related to diet by so many physicians right now. I'm excited for people to become more aware that this is a possibility for them.
Absolutely. Well, I talked to, actually, it was what I talked about when we were at Menlo Park, and I was like, the name cholesterol code is the appropriate name for this film, but for us, because we understand that, but for somebody just like scrolling, they're going to be like, why cholesterol? But I think that question will make them push play, and obviously it has, because on Amazon it's doing amazingly well. It's but it's grabs you right away because the stories are in there. It's not this scientific lecture that you're presenting to us in a 2-hour film. It's all
Yeah.
stories, and the way it was filtered in to follow the studies, and then this to pause with the great graphics. And it's funny when we saw the film in Vegas the first time it was released, and Tom was like, "What did you like the best?" Is like, "I know you're like videographer extraordinaire, but those graphics, they explain it. They explain it so well. Uh, to take the time to kind of put it in a format where anybody could watch it and understand it." And I think that's what really grabs within the film, is that it's not at a particular level that you have to have some sort of background education to watch it. Come as you are, watch the film, you're going to learn some stuff, and I think not only will you learn some stuff, I think you will also have one of these stories will resonate, because someone that's, if it's not you, someone who has experienced it.
I completely agree, and I have to really give a lot of props to Jen Eisenhart and her amazing vision with this film, and how good she was at helping to translate so much of this. So she reviewed a lot of my talks, and it was a process of getting to where we could kind of connect in the middle as to what the best way was to present the science and make it digestible. But very very early on, she appropriately would be saying, yeah, there's a lot of this that's exciting and interesting mechanistically, but the stories are very important. We want to be sure that there's a lot of stories to connect people, and I couldn't agree more with the importance of grounding it in these stories. And so between the two of us, it really just became such a great collaborative experience in figuring out the right mix. So we have a lot of science ultimately in this movie, but I feel almost like it's a Trojan horse. Like it's kind of, encapsulated in a lot of these personal stories and this through line of the narrative with me and the study itself. So it's like just about the perfect mix of all three. It feels to me at about the right pacing, right? So you get kind of like a bite of science pretty early on, like the what is cholesterol, and then we're not even getting into the energy model that I'm proposing for this until like halfway through the film, thereabouts. And by then, it's still even very digestible, makes it pretty easy to get through. And it's already after you've got a lot of investment in the stakes of what everyone's dealing with, including yourself.
Sorry, I muted myself and forgot that I muted myself.
No worries.
That's how this thing rolls. Well, okay, so I'm trying to help produce at the same time. Yes, I agree. Grabs you with those basics right away, but it's the storytelling that's what's in there. And I am incredibly impressed with how Jen captured your voice. You cannot tell that she wrote a lot of what you said. It sounds just like you. She did an amazing job with that. So the reason why I muted myself, Dave, is because we have people in the chat, and I could not join the chat from our stream here, so I was trying to turn it on actual YouTube, but I wasn't sure if you had noticed that there's people commenting.
Yes.
We actually have people here with us this morning.
Let's actually take some of these because and bear in mind we're doing this from StreamYard. I'm not an expert operator, but I think I can pull some of these up. This one's from Bros7594. Hello, hello back. And I guess this one's from a little bit earlier, but yes, 3 hours and counting. Now 2 hours 45 minutes and counting. So we're getting there. Oh, this one's interesting. Also from Bros. I watched it last night on Tubi and plan to watch it here with you all. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Incidentally, I'll just mention that part of what's great about joining the premiere is if you haven't seen that thumbnail, we have everybody. Like
everybody. It's going to be the wildest chat ever.
We have all these folks from the film. Of course, Robin and myself are going to be there. Matt Bazuki is going to be there. A lot of people that are featured, but then we also have some of the experts featured, like the great Arthur Agenston. I can't believe we're going to have him in for the chat, and it's going to be like a super commentary sort of interaction that we can have throughout the movie. So definitely for anybody who's watched it before, I think this will be a great enhanced follow-up experience, particularly if you know what's coming next. I may take a break and disappear during that part where I get emotional because I'm always embarrassed by that part. But I'll be back. That'll be like my bathroom break.
You've earned it. It's fine. That's okay. Well, I'm noticing that we have a question that has come in. I don't know if you noticed that, but I can't use the StreamYard chat, so I'm actually in YouTube.
Tell me who
chatting there. Dennis Collier.
Oh, got it.
Also, okay, I wanted to mention that you said Dr. Agustin will be there. And for you guys who don't know, I mean, that's who created CAC. So, like, it's pretty, it's absolute big deal.
Whenever you hear a CAC score or a CAC score, that's the Agustin CAC score. He is literally the inventor of that algorithm and worked on the science that made it what it is today. So I chat a lot with a lot of very high level cardiologists, lipidologists, and so forth. And so when I mention Agustin, you can tell from their eyes that he's this like towering god among even the luminaries. So
you just chat with him in the film. Yeah, whatever.
Incidentally, by the way, we have a Feldman protocol that recorded with him that went 6 hours. He actually now has the record. He talked more than Nick Norwitz, which I'm not going to lie, I have fun bringing up with Nick Norwitz because I know how competitive it is.
He wanted that record. and tried so hard
Yes.
for it.
Okay, so getting on to Dennis's question, quick question. Does this study include people who have CAC scores other than 0? Yes. So the majority of the participants in our study have a CAC score of 0, but I want to say it's something like 54 out of the 100. So it's like just a little bit of a majority. And the study is the major through line. Now, another important piece, though, is, and that's the study, is the film itself. And many people in the film, but I'm not going to give spoilers, many people in the film actually opt to get a CAC as opposed to a CT angiogram. And you'll just have to watch the film to find out how that goes. But the study itself, yes, it actually was kind of nice that we had a little bit of a near equal mix so that you could kind of see progression of particularly soft plaque with those who had a CAC of 0, and then those who didn't have a CAC of 0 had a positive CAC. And we have a fairly, what they would call in science, heterogeneous cohort, which is to say that it's a wide mix. Some people who are very, very metabolically healthy on one end of the spectrum, some that, became lean mass hyperresponders because they were working on their health. And, Susan Bruni, by the way, who was one of the speakers of the of the Collaborative Science Conference, or COSI, as we call it, actually was struggling with obesity for a lot of her time and spoke on that at the conference. But she was one of the participants in our study. So anyway, it's a great question, because it's also one that I think comes up a lot of times, is people wonder, for example, if you're a lean mass hyperresponder and you get a CAC of a non-zero, what does that mean? And that's actually a question I bring up a lot at the COSI conference, because I want to get, a good mix of opinions on what that might mean.
I found out, when we had gone to a lot of those screenings together, that there would be people in the audience who were like, I've been low carb for a year and a half, and I've leaned out. I'm feeling really good, but I went to the doctor and my cholesterol was high. But I told them I wasn't going to go on a statin because I'm low carb. Then I got my CAC results and it's a 300, but I'm just doubling down on eating a low carb diet. And I was like, because this is where we still fall into this place. Like when I first started this journey, and as you guys will see in the film, if you haven't seen already, I was working with Dr. Cho at the time, and he was still not quite on board and was doing what he was taught, as he should have as a doctor. He was trying to follow those ways. I didn't realize your back and forth that you guys were having at the time. But he actually said the words, "We're in no man's land." He said that to me. Mm-hmm. We're in no man's land. We don't know the answers. The choice that I'm making is my choice and continues to be my choice. So when I heard people in the crowd kind of alluding to actually having a potential heart issue, a potential clog, definitely some buildup. How do you respond to someone who's just going to put all their eggs in this basket that's not actually, like, the basket's not fully formed yet? It's like the outline of the basket is there, but not all the information is in there. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, I get that question all the time. It's also why I pose it. As I was just mentioning earlier, is at COSI, I think I've done it at every single one of our lean mass hyperresponder panels, is I pose the question of literally exactly what you talked about. Somebody goes on a low carb diet. When they go on the low carb diet, and I liked your example, say a year and a half, right? So let's say that somebody was on the diet for a year and a half and they have a CAC of 300. The vast majority of people, I believe, especially in cardiology, would likely agree. Unfortunately, diet is almost not even relevant in this circumstance, because to get to a CAC of 300, you almost certainly had that disease not only forming for a long time, but especially the calcification forming for a long time. Now, that's not a way to be dismissive of, hey, the diet didn't have anything to do with it. But in the case of the vast majority of it, the diet likely didn't. It probably was the lifestyle before that point. So I know a lot of cardiologists would say a lot of, okay, so what, now what? Setting aside the diet, then what's the choices that you want to make past this point? And that's where I do my best to say, well, my job is more to just get to the data. What I'm trying to do is get these studies where you get people who don't have any prior diagnosis of cardiovascular disease. So it's not only primary, but much of them have not had scans before. Much, but not all. I'll say that some have had, for example, CAC scores even before they joined. One of the participants, for example, that is probably one of the more well-known ones that outed themselves. When I say outed, I mean unblinded themselves, because they can talk about it in the groups and so forth. Actually started a thread even before the study had ever started about their very high level of CAC. And that was before they joined our study. And so when joining the study, in order to join the study, you had to have already not been on cholesterol-lowering medication. And this isn't because it was a request by us. It was more whether or not that was just part of the eligibility. So there are a lot of people like you're describing where for them, they choose that. And I want to always be in the position of saying, I'm doing my best to just get this data and find out. But I work with a lot of physicians who they themselves, and a good example would be Adrian Sotomoda, Brett Scher, Dr. Budoff himself. They would say what I shared in the film. They would say that they would feel more comfortable if there were steps taken towards doing something about it. But that's not me so much endorsing it as much as it is me acknowledging what it is that they would feel more comfortable just got shared. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It's again, it's you put yourself in this area where you don't know something, so you got to go with what is currently accepted. Feelings aside, and we might have strong indications that this could be the thing, but especially when you're talking to somebody that's two years in, it's so early on. They're fighting a battle against the lifestyle they led before, and then time becomes a factor. Do you have enough time? You may need to have some extra support in that journey. And I was a little taken aback by as many people who were like, I'm just gonna keep eating this way and it's gonna be okay. I'm like, you gotta check, you gotta dig a little deeper, and there's still some uncertainties there.
And the thing is, both things can be true.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely,
you can have existing disease that is worth your attention, and also you can be making your own choices while working with your doctor, working with your cardiologist as to what you feel is right for you, based on what data that there is, right? And while there's a lot of exciting things about the data we already have at hand, I'm always proactive about saying we want more, which is why I'm raising, money, not just for like the extension on the current study, but also the 3 different conferences, literally 3 whole conferences for one study that we're hopefully going to be closing the funding on soon, the Triad study, so that we get more. Now, to date, what do those studies show? Well, watch the film. If you watch the film, you'll get some sense of it. But that's part of what I liked about it was I feel that you both see the study itself, you see some exciting things that came out about the study. We have experts like Dr. Agatston, like Budoff, and others for which we're interviewing them. We have William Cromwell in there, for example. And we're assessing their opinions, and I want to be sure that they feel that we represent their opinions well, including on this emergent science and what's known and what's not known. And I think we do a really good job of that. But part of the challenge is exactly going back to what you just said, is what Tro said, which is we are truly in no man's land. This This is the one frustrating thing, Robin, and it's still true as of July 17th of 2026. Do you know how many people are actively doing research on lean mass hyperresponders and cardiovascular risk prospectively?
Oh gosh, I have no idea how many. just just
Just
Dave and the
us.
team.
Just us
Yeah.
guys. Yeah, as far as I know. I mean, I don't know. Unless there's one
Yeah,
that's happened that I'm unaware of, but yeah, it's kind of wild that there
it
isn't
is.
that much more
Well,
interest in it. So
well, I think that people look at it as like, oh, it's just this small subset, but they're not looking at the wider picture and the wider scope here that it does apply to everyone. We just happen to be in this small subset that eats this low carb way, and we've seen it go up. We've actually seen the change that has happened. But I think that's what's exciting about all of this is that you've struck on something that everybody kind of just thought was this is how it is. We're basically pretty complacent in how we handle it because we know that this is the number you get, this is the pill you get, move on. Nobody actually says and you're cured. They just move on, adjust, all of that stuff. And you're sitting on this information that could change everything, and it's
yeah.
and the exciting part of this science is that you come up with more questions when you find answers. That's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to work. The unfortunate thing is that you're the only team that's doing it. Like, if so many more people captured that, I can be excited about it, but I have no idea how to conduct the studies. But I can be excited about it. I need some other the people that can conduct the study and people who would be willing to fund. And that's, I'm sure, the biggest hurdle of all is finding funding. The fact that you did this by raising you crowdfunded this is how it started, which is also exciting in its own way. Like, that's its own story in and of itself, is that this was crowdfunded, and how many people were like me sitting there going, yeah, I'd love to know if there's some answers to this because I'm sitting here in the wilderness and I want to know.
Yes, it's really truly been it's been a bit crazy that it's the two things at the same time. One, that there's been enough interest that we really could raise this kind of money in order to make this study happen. To be sure, it's still small in comparison to these other like massive pharma funded studies. I mean, you can't even believe it how much of a difference we are. Like in Lundquist, inside of Lundquist itself, relative to other studies they're doing, they really, hats off to them. They really gave us, they've really worked with us on budget. I'll just put it that way, relative to what they normally can collect. And to all of my fellow authors outside of Lundquist, it's entirely voluntary. I mean, it is an all hands on deck charitable effort. Like, I never for one moment would have thought could come together. And I just can't express enough appreciation. But on the other end of it, that's what it takes. I mean, it's being demonstrated to us in real time. It's coming over and over again in real time, showcasing that this is how it has to happen, is that it just takes this level of interest, this level of work to be doing it. We should probably get to some more of these comments.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a cute question here, and definitely
looking forward to watching
an
the movie.
actual question. Yeah.
Okay. Hello from Argentina. And yeah, I've got a lot of, oh, here we go. Any Oscar should you
That's the funny one that I'm looking at. Yes.
Yes. I mean, it's flattering, but really I'm just excited for people to get it, to watch it. Like, I truly, I think that the film, certainly if I were on the committee, given the amazing work that Jen and her team have done, sure, have all of them. But except for that lead, protagonist, he's okay. But truly,
all right.
Yeah, the editing, the sound. I mean, listen, obviously I'm biased, obviously. But even just early in, Robin, and this is truly genuine on my part, I I kind of I want to say this delicately. I'm used to food-based documentaries not being maybe, top shelf relative to like some of the more saucier documentaries that are made. And I would put ours up against some of the best out there. I mean, I really do think the photography is amazing. The colorizing, I mean, it's so night and day different from when it first started. But you know what? I won't miss an opportunity to mention this. Jen and Tom and Bill, they are such pros. And the one thing that I can say happened with literally every single talking head moment, even if we were in the same space and there was like, say, three different interviews, they would do a setup with every single one of the interviews so that the shot composition was always different, always. So you'll never find a spot where a single setup was reused. Even when there was like some tightness on time, they would not compromise on that quality. And I cannot say enough good things about Wide Eye Productions and the film and their level of effort and push for just greatness in making this thing phenomenal. And yeah, what can I say? You can see for yourself in 2.5 hours. So,
Yep. Down
um,
to 2.5 hours. And I wanted to say also is that is like I was surprised at that even at the moment at the time of filming. I thought we would all just kind of come in and sit down and do our thing and then leave. But it was like this long break in between, and we'd come back and it was completely different in there. And then not only that, the clean up and put it all back where it was. For me, I was in in my gym, so they had to move like all the weights. It's like it wasn't a small feat. They had to roll all the bars and move the stacks of weights. Like they did a lot of for real heavy lifting throughout the film, but definitely while filming in my gym.
yeah, and they are very good about capturing all of what we call in the industry B-roll, which is, you hear my narration or we hear you talking about your life, and you've got matching photos. You've got this collage of all these different things going on in your life, and because they're filming all of it. And how is it that you can get such great quality video shots, all lined up in a row? Well, from being behind the scenes now, because they filmed 10 times that, right? Like there's so much that gets filmed. And then they're picking from the absolute best portions that also work well with the story and make the edit that much better. And like I said, absolute 10 out of 10. They are top quality. And it's just been such a pleasure working with them. It's been such a great collaborative experience. So,
Yeah, I'm amazed at how much was captured and waiting to see what I mean. They have so much content that doesn't even make it into the film. I hope that gets used for something. I'm sure there's still a lot of pure gold moments that didn't even make it into the film.
yeah, I also really want to give a massive shout out to the Bazuki group, and particularly Jan Bazuki. I mean, this was just only possible with a lot of their support and their belief that this was going to work, that this would help us to, put together everything and share this as it happened, because we didn't know for sure where the study was going to go until it happened. And then that's where it took us. That's what's
It's
been fascinating to watch in real
it's
time.
quite a commitment to be like, yeah, we're going to film this whole thing and we'll help with the funding, and we don't know where it's going to end up, but we believe in this process. And look at what the outcomes were. The outcome originally was we had to wait another year, but I'm so glad that that happened. Like the way this film ends now, how that gets tied together is so incredibly different than the original version that was shown in Vegas the first time.
Yeah.
Um, and that it because they have all that extra content, because it was all high quality, Yeah, it was, I'm sure, very frustrating at the time and not the delay anybody wanted to see. But the story could be uh, woven again to include this new ending. And really, you had like a new beginning to it, too. Like it made it that much better. Just taking, you were forced to take a step back. The team was forced to take a step back and rework it. And it came out so beautifully.
Yeah, that's another important part is um, the something had happened that I think, because we've got the stream going as long as it is, we can maybe chat about it briefly at least, that kind of slowed things down a little bit, but they took advantage of that time. The film team took advantage of that time because we'd had a chance to get more feedback and just kept working it to make it better. And that's what you're talking about is there's a cut of the film from a year ago that is still a great film, but this film is even better because
Exactly.
they made use of that time. They could have just hit the pause button and said, we'll do tweaks, but no, and I want to give a shout out to Bill Crum in particular. He's the editor, phenomenal guy. This was his last
who you
film.
forced into retirement.
Yes. The running joke is the inside joke within the team is this was his big baby, but at the same time it would ultimately put him out to pasture. It was so intense. And so, but I'm telling you, his editing is just absolutely killer. It's just chef's kiss. And you'll see. And again, going back to what changed, he tightened up a lot of different beats. There was a lot of different things that got worked out, which were amazing. Actually, this works out pretty well because
10 questions that have popped up. So yeah, go to the chat.
I know. I want to go to this next question that came up because it relates back to what we were talking about before. So this is from Steve Heritage. My lipid specialist says that the studies in the film were redacted, and that this was not mentioned in the show. Is that true? So yeah, actually, I'm glad you brought this up. There are a total of 4 analyses, 1, 2, 3, 4, that happened over time. And the one that's filmed is the first analysis that's known as the semi-quantitative. I'm going to try not to get too geeky here. The semi-quantitative.
I hope I don't have to dumb it down for everybody because I don't know what you're talking about either. Dan.
Yeah. Yes. So think about it like this. Imagine you have 4 different lenses, right? Looking at the same scene or, cameras or whatever you want to talk about it. They're all analyzing the same 200 scans. So the first of those analyses, the semi-quantitative, that's what got picked up in the film, and that's what put it all together. And so when we shot all the way up until the end, that was the analysis we were moving on, and we anticipated that any successive analyses would likely correlate with it because that's usually what happens in studies. Is the first analysis is probably going to be confirmed by the second. And usually that's it. Usually there's 2. The first one's semi-quantitative. The second one is quantitative. And that was done through a company called Clearly. And the Clearly quantitative analysis that came back, well, there's an interesting story around it. Not one that's easy to talk about here, but I will say that when it came back, there was some concerns in that they were a little bit different from the first analysis. That's okay. It wasn't the pre-specified analysis of the whole study. That one is QAngio, and that would ultimately be the 4th analysis. But we ended up having 2 more. HeartFlow was another AI-guided reading company that also did an analysis, and QAngio did an analysis. And of those 4 analyses, 3 of them all agree with each other broadly, and only the Clearly analysis stands out as being rather odd. And then there was additionally people who were in the study who were concerned about how unusual the Clearly analysis was. And they started submitting their own study scans. You know how I said it's 4 lenses on the same 200 scans? They took their scans, resubmitted them themselves through their cardiologist back to Clearly, and they got different results than what Clearly gave us for that second analysis. And bottom line is, while I'm only telling a small portion of the story, more and more led us to believe that, unfortunately, that analysis that Clearly gave us was not something we could rely on. And since the paper relied on it, we went to the journal, us as the authors. We said, unfortunately, we can't have faith in this particular analysis anymore. And importantly, not only did the journal, given everything we showed them, not object, clearly themselves did not object to our withdrawing the paper. And that's what led to the retraction of that analysis. The other analyses, they're all encompassed in a preprint that's up right now. And there's been no objection to any of those analyses with regard to Q-angio and heart flow. And again, they kind of broadly agree with each other. So short answer is the study, there's one study, one paper, if you will, that is based on the Clearly analysis, and that was retracted, but it was at our request, and it was citing this third-party Clearly analysis, not actually anything with regard to like the methodology of anything we did or anything along those lines. But there may, and Robin, this may be the first you're hearing about this, there may be a follow-up piece that has to do with this story, because it's really a pretty wild story if you hear the whole thing. So more news on that may come out, but for now, you can just watch the movie of the original analysis.
Dave and his teasers, I gotta say, that's what you do. But you and I talked about the retraction once before, and I think it's I think people miss this, how nobody objected to it. Like, there should have been some back and forth. There should have been some conversation.
Oh, there was
like, but they're like, okay, yeah, retract, that's fine. But now, and then unfortunately, when people see the word retracted, they think, well, the whole thing is awful. They're not looking at the reason why, and that's also overlooked a lot.
Well, and to be fair, that's usually what it means. Usually if there's a retraction, then the people who did the study are the ones, to blame or something along those lines, as opposed to a third-party vendor that gave the analysis. This is why it's just the right thing to do. If some entity provided you a measurement that you and your team can no longer believe in, the right thing to do is to approach the journal and to say that. There is a route that you can take in not requesting the withdrawal, which would lead to the retraction. But I'm proud of my team for the fact that we just, at the end of the day, you still want to do what the right thing is. And that's what I would argue we did, right? By the way, I need to turn off notifications because, of course, the premiere is blowing up everything, and
I'm trying to figure out if that was on my end or on your end. So I've
shut
everything off. So.
It's on my end because everyone's going nuts and
everybody's
getting lots of.
Well, they should be. They should be going nuts because this is very exciting. We're now down to 2 hours and like 15 minutes till the premiere. There are 130 people waiting, just sitting there waiting for it to turn on in YouTube right now. That is so incredible. It's just,
and we have 240 people watching us right now. So for anybody who's watching us now, if you haven't yet, you can go over to, I think we have a direct link at cholesterolcodemovie.com, but you could also even just right now on YouTube, search for Cholesterol Code Movie, and you'll find the premiere page, and it'll give the heads up as to when you're going. I'd put the link here, but it'd give that like code, right?
Yeah, I just put it in the chat, but YouTube doesn't really like to do that. So I put it in there. Maybe you guys can click it. If you're on, I'm only on YouTube. I'm not on all the other things. So just go to YouTube, search up the cholesterol code. It's the one that says tap the bell. You'll see it. How can you not? And come join us for the live chat. Let's talk about, there's tons of questions. We'll get to them. Let's talk about this lineup for this this crazy chat that's going to happen at the premiere.
Yes. It's funny because I'm like losing track. I want to do the big search, Cholesterol Code Movie documentary. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So from left to right, I don't have it up on the screen, but if you do a search,
the new graphic, Matt walked in and was like, "Oh, why are Dave and Nick so big?" That's like the fifth iteration of this graphic because people kept joining. So this is what it
Yeah,
looks like now.
it's kind of funny. It's Agate's on the left, Dr. Georgia Ede, then Dr. Jen Unwin, then Lauren Kennedy. Amazing story. And she's got a huge YouTube channel, by the way.
Yes.
Brian Lenskis, Tro Kalajian, Matt Bazuki, Brett Schur, this Robin Dobbins person, I think, just after that.
Wonder why that person's on there.
Our fearless director, Jen Eisenhart. Oh, and this is great. We've also got our Low Carb USA peeps. They're there as well, Doug and Pam, and then Eric Rogers, who, by the way, Eric, if you're watching this, you should jump in the stream with us. Like, ping me or email.
I would figure he'd text me, but I haven't gotten a text, so I can text him.
Okay. I'm gonna have my texts up in case he's free yet. He actually is a working doctor, so you may not have the morning cleared.
But semi-retired. So
fair enough.
Maybe he takes Fridays off. I don't know.
I just saw this one pop up, so I want to show it because it's from Cheryl. Thank you, Cheryl. Hi, Dave and Robin. Love you guys. We're just gonna have to do this more often, Robin. So
I guess so. I mean, I'm all for it. I just like to turn things on and just start talking, and here we are doing this thing. So I'm glad y'all are enjoying it because we're just talking. I'm texting though, so I can't text and talk at the same time. I can't chew gum and walk either. So.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Going through some more of these comments. And here's another one. I just had, this is also by Steve. Just had a CAC contrast soft and hard plaque scan, but no results yet. So just a point of clarification, a CAC only looks at calcification. So maybe that you meant a CT angiogram. And to be fair, a CT angiogram includes a CAC. The first pass is in fact a CAC because they determine how much from that first pass radiation they need to use based on how much calcification you have existing. Because if you have higher levels of calcification, they have to adjust the dosage. I'm not going to put any of these up, but there are some, let's just say, supportive comments and not as supportive comments with regard to Clearly.
Yes.
But yes, we hear you. I'll just put it that way. We got another one here, which is, was just wondering if the future there would be another cut showing some behind the scenes, showing some of the challenges in making of this movie. That's a good question for Jen and her team. But for what it's worth, there already is a lot on socials with regard to behind the scenes. We've actually posted a lot of what they call BTS, behind the scenes. And I don't know, maybe if we can talk Bill Crum out of retirement, he can maybe put together like a behind the scenes piece or something like that. That'd be pretty exciting.
He's sitting on a beach somewhere and he's lost your phone number.
Yes, because he deleted it like right away. Hey, Cheryl says, I love long form discussions. We have that in common, Cheryl. I love long form discussions. Didn't I make the joke yesterday, Robin? I was kind of like, if we want to use a time measurement, I was talking about this stream. I was like, it's going to be 3 hours, which is just like a short Feldman Protocol podcast.
That's what you said. And then when we were talking about when to go live, and I was like, is 2 hours a super stream? And then you were like, right, it should be 3. So
yeah, it should be like a minimum. It should be like a minimum of 3 hours. So I'm curious, in your experience so far, how many people have seen the film that are in your life who may not have known your story as well until they saw the film?
I'm so open about everything that has happened with me. I don't think anybody personally or close to me was all that surprised about the story, those that have seen it. So But I'm actually more surprised about not hearing from people. I thought I'd hear from some people that I hadn't heard from in a long time, and I haven't. So obviously they're not reading my Facebook posts, but that's okay. Maybe they'll see it eventually, or maybe just FYI, Eric says send them the link.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, I didn't get that kind. I do get a lot of people like, thank you for doing this, and it was emotional and all that. Everybody tells me that they can watch the film, they get to my part, and that's when they start crying. So I'm really sorry I've made everybody cry. But just to be able to do this, to be able to do stuff like this is proof that this thing up here has healed so much that turning on a live stream for 3 hours is fun for me, and something I look forward to and don't shy away from anymore. And just continues to show, we can't see what's going on inside my heart, but we can definitely get a visual on how my stability has changed throughout these years, despite this number. And by the way, I just had I think it was 6 years in between my CACs, and the most recent one that was a month ago, 0.
So, congrats.
I've been working hard on that number.
Points, but that's okay.
I didn't, yeah. So, I'm sorry.
No. I'm just ripping. Listen,
yeah,
but the film is just the sharing of what you've already shared, right?
Yeah, I've shared what I've already shared. People know. Some people ask questions, some people don't. It's not something that I would ever require as. If you're in some sort of relationship with me, now we must talk about mental health and heart health. That's the only thing. Right. No, and to be fair, in my daily everyday world, even though I work in this space, it's my personal life, not at all controlled by these decisions. My lifestyle, I've been doing this nearly 9 years of eating low carb, and it's more of an afterthought now. Like, it's just who I am now. It's not something that I focus on all the time, which is very strange because I do interact with so many people who are new to it, and it's so much in the forefront and takes so much time, and they have so many questions. Like, just relax. I promise you it's going to be okay. Which I feel like I do that all the time. Look, Allison's in the chat.
What?
We should ask Allison if she can join us live.
Yes. Allison, if you're at all interested, we'd love to have you come on.
It would be so wonderful to have you come up on here.
If you're game, because all I have to do is share a link to you. The only thing is, I'm not sure if I got the. Hold on a moment. I'm gonna copy link.
This is producing and filming all at the same time, y'all. This is
exactly.
What it looks
like. and this is just an open riffing chat pre-show. We're now about 2 hours, just a little over 2 hours at this point. So it's pretty exciting.
I just want to say that I can't pull the comment up, but Wendy, who was just above Allison's comment, said she was telling a friend my story, and she said that it's so real and so very important. And thank you. It just means so much to me, because I've said this before in conversations with Dave. If you've listened to any of our podcasts together, either on Keto Biography or the Feldman Protocol, when I started sharing my story, I was just hoping to reach one person. Like, I have low standards, I guess, but I just thought I'm going to try. If one person hears the story, then telling my story is worth it. And over the course of the release of the cholesterol code, and then having the opportunities to go sit on panels and go to screenings and events, I've met so many people, and I'm still just absolutely floored when somebody says that, my story resonated with them. They heard me 3 years ago and it changed their lives. Like, that kind of stuff, like, just totally floored. I had no idea that, just deciding to tell the story to help one person would help so many, and I just appreciate it.
Yeah, it really is amazing. By the way, Allison, I sent you a link if you're able to make it. I know this is kind of a short notice thing, but we'd love to have anybody who's featured in the film. And of course, your story and the story of your son is such a starring role. And it's just been so amazing.
I mentioned her name. She probably clicked off immediately and ran away. If she doesn't come on, you guys, I will say that Allison was on a keto biography episode. I did this whole series on the cholesterol code, and it was actually her first podcast appearance. So her story, her son's story, they're intertwined, her family story intertwined all throughout the film. But if you want to get a little bit more detail, please go watch it on Keto Biography as a YouTube channel, but it's also audio. We'll find Allison's episode. It was really, really a good one. What parents have to go through in that situation just tears at my heart.
Yeah, to repeat it, this is literally Robin's podcast, Keto Biography. You can do a search in Keto Biography, and if you watch this movie, you'll want to see that interview, because it's great. It's great that you're getting these interviews down, Robin, with all the people that have appeared in our film. Okay, so Cheryl says, can you tell me again about your sodium salt experience? Please, please, please. I struggle with low serum sodium. Yes. Here's the deal.
Here's Dave carrying a bucket of salt everywhere he goes.
I'm a bit well known, and for good reason, that the one thing I couldn't figure out until fall of 2018, bear in mind, I started keto in 2015, but I kept struggling with electrolytes. Now, whatever else anyone tells you, you need to remember something. They are essential minerals. The word essential means you need to get them from outside your body. Your body can't come up with them out of thin air, right? And the biggest hurdle was that it's so unintuitive. You don't think, wow, I feel really run down and tired. I must need more salt, right? Or something like that. But on top of that, I kept getting misdirected, because a lot of the electrolyte symptoms I felt, such as muscle twitches and cramps, like with my feet and so forth, I kept associating, understandably, with, say, having low potassium or low magnesium. Those are the minerals that usually you tend to be light on in order to see that, right? So that would come up sometimes. The tiredness would come up sometimes. The lightheadedness. There was a lot of different mixtures of things. And I kept just playing with magnesium and potassium and various cocktails of minerals, feeling pretty confident it was electrolytes, but ruling out sodium, because I was like, oh, well, I salt my food plenty. Like, I get more than enough salt. And then in a very memorable couple of weeks in the fall of 2018, I was like, I just need to, because I just read an article from George Henderson, shout out to George Henderson, who was pointing to how fructose malabsorption, which I had some of, I think, from just being a chronic soda drinker when I was a kid, can make it more difficult to absorb sodium. And that maybe if I had a severe enough amount, that maybe I still was too low on salt. And so for those 2 weeks, I just consumed salt with abandon, including making sure I was above 10 grams a day. And importantly, I also had a blood pressure cuff, because there's the concern of having salt sensitivity. But I had also just watched a talk by Steve Phinney, who said that an average of 5% of the population have a salt sensitivity where it actually has an impact on their blood pressure. Again, everything I'm saying should not be taken as medical advice. Work with your doctor, check your blood pressure, that kind of stuff. All that said, I went nuts in having lots and lots and lots of salt, exceeding 10 grams a day. And that was it. Like, all the symptoms went away. There was no other change in supplementing other minerals. And that's because the thing that I was also reading was that sodium, it's a bit complicated to explain, but the paper that I was reading was explaining how it was that sodium is the body will ditch other electrolytes to preserve sodium is effectively what it is. There's a compensatory relationship there. So if you are inadequate in sodium, it can have downstream results to less minerals in other regards. And that might explain why even when I was supplementing a lot with potassium and magnesium, it would have a modest impact, but not a full-on, reducing everything impact. Now, the other misdirection was that I would get blood work, and when I got blood work, I would check that. There was an electrolyte panel that I think was included with it. I believe it's the CMP. And that electrolyte panel, I would go, well, no, my sodium and so forth, they're within range. As it turns out, you have to be really depleted in order for it to fall out of range. Your body's really good at holding the delta of those minerals, particularly sodium. And so it has to be pretty bad for it to fall below that reference range. And spoiler alert, in one of my experiments not long after it, where I was trying to not supplement salt, but trying to hold to this particular baseline diet that I was using for a lot of my experiments, at one point while I went towards a half consumption, still very keto, but not with the additional supplementation of the salt, I both got heavy duty cramps, like really bad cramps where like I was waking up out of bed and had to immediately step on my foot because it was just like so cramped up and so bad. And I was getting blood work as a part of that experiment anyway. And in that blood work, I did fall below reference range on both sodium and chloride. Both sodium and chloride fell below reference range, right? And take that into account with the fact that I was already supplementing a lot with salt before that point, right? So I probably add around 3 to 4 grams for the 2 meals I typically have per day. So I probably supplement around 6 to 8 grams. But it depends, and this next part is important. It depends on how militantly keto I am. The more low carb I am, me personally, Dave Feldman, the more I'm mindful to try to be sure I get enough salt. Now, when I'm less on diet, like if I'm low carb, but like say, 60, 80 grams of carbs a day or something like that, or like in the case of Europe, I was a little more off diet, I don't have to supplement salt as much. It's retained more. So I suspect there's some number of people that are like me. I don't think it's the majority, but I think there's a larger number of people who, when they hear my story, talk about this because they have a similar story, who find that they need to be mindful to have more salt. And that, again, it's unintuitive. If you're feeling really run down, you usually think, oh, I need to eat, or I need to have caffeine, or I need to have something. You don't tend to think that it's salt. But there's some number of people. They're in the Lean Mass Hyperresponder Facebook groups. They've been on Twitter and so forth. They go, thank goodness I heard about your story, Dave. I've been more active about getting salt, and it's made a big difference to me, but not everyone.
It makes a huge difference in the lesser scientific circles. The groups that I've been in where we're not collecting all the data. The easy way to explain that is that you're not eating these boxed cans, all this prepackaged food, which is basically just full of salt. You're not eating that anymore. You completely deplete yourself of those stores, and then you're going to start getting those symptoms of the brain fog, cramping. And I'm not talking just leg cramps. I used to actually get a cramp in my chest. Like I thought something was pushing down. It was awful. So I always eat. My diet never changes, but I always still supplement salt on my foods. And actually I make a solution and I put it in even my cup of coffee here has that salt solution in it. It's so important. And we don't think about how much of it it's funny. They'll point fingers and say, you eat so much salt. You shouldn't do that. It's terrible for your blood pressure and blah, 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 blah. But they're not accounting for all of the salt that's in your packaged foods.
Yes.
That I don't eat. And like, well, I could point my finger at you and say you eat packaged foods, but I don't. But it's so incredibly important. And even without the numbers, you were doing the blood work and counting it all out, your body tells you And usually, and it sounds like we're like just chanting this weird thing, usually the answer is add salt. Like that's a really great first choice on what to do if you're symptomatic in any way. Look who has arrived, and
I get
not
to announce
not in
our,
PJs.
our fearless
I know.
director has arrived, Jen Eisenhart. We are 2 hours from the movie starting. Are you excited?
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm very excited for the film to be available to anyone in the world where YouTube is available. Yeah, very cool. We've had so many
Worldwide.
messages. Yeah, we've had so many messages from people in Sweden, in South Africa, in the Netherlands, in New Zealand, and all over the world saying, "Hey, when's it going to be available?" And now we can say today.
That's funny. When I posted the YouTube link on several channels, and the response would be like, "Well, how long is it going to be on YouTube?" And I'm like, forever. You can watch it. If you want to see the live chat, you gotta be there right when the premiere happens. But otherwise, you can watch it anytime you want to.
Yeah. So that's really exciting. I was going to jump on your sodium conversation. I loved your recipe for soul water, Robin. I thought that was such a cool thing because I love, some of the companies that make great electrolyte packages, and I use them when I'm doing my big bike rides because it's so convenient. But tell us about your soul water recipe because it's so affordable and accessible.
Right. So I don't buy any of the packaged electrolyte mixes because I am very sensitive to anything like dextrose or anything like I'm just super sensitive to it. So I've just always made my own electrolyte mix. And unfortunately, you guys, it might say that those preservatives aren't in the ingredient list. But in a lot of cases, they still are. There's only certain brands that don't have it. I'm not a brand person, so I couldn't tell you which ones. But my body notices, so I stay away from it.
Test.
Test.
Never
Yeah,
be
you've
said
got to
enough.
know.
Don't take the label's word for it.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely
Just
not.
test yourself. You have to be your own experimenter. So you just have to do it.
Yeah.
And you have to get to a point where you can read your own body's signals, and that's
Exactly.
where I am.
Mhm.
So I have a bottle. I think it's a liter. So it's a larger bottle, and I put 4 teaspoons of Redmond's real salt. I will say that it's Redmond's because it has extra minerals in it, but you could use another mineral salt, a pink Himalayan salt, something you could use any salt. Just probably not like an iodized salt because it'll have dextrose in it. And then I put a 1/4 of a teaspoon of potassium in it as well. So that's the solution. Some people warm it up and so that it will melt in there a little better. I don't. I just shake it up and let it sit on my counter, and then I don't drink that, you guys, because that's like super, super strong. And it'd be like just licking salt, which I have been known to do. So, but you don't want to do. I take a tablespoon and I pour that, a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, and I'll put that in my big water, and I put it in my coffee. And so now I'm at the point where just water by itself doesn't taste right. It's too bland. It needs the salt. But there's other people who will do exactly the mix that I use and say it's entirely too strong. That's why, again, you got to match it to yourself. Also, 2 other points. One is that a lot of people add magnesium to it. I don't. I'm very sensitive to magnesium, so I take a supplement at nighttime when my body can handle it. But some people can add magnesium throughout the day. It's just not me. And the other thing is certain people can't supplement potassium. So this is the mix that works for me. Again, you've got to find that for you. The measurements could be whatever measurements were. Like this was several years of work to kind of outline my recipe that works for me, and it works well. But it's also this concept too. Every time I drink something, it has salt in it. So it's not like so many people buy like the salt supplement pills, and they'll wake up in the morning and take 2 pills and call it a day. And you need it consistently. You're going to sweat it out. You're going to pee it out. You're going to do all these things. You need to have a consistent level all day long. So I cannot remember the last time I had a major cramp issue like I used. I mean, like I said, they were in my chest. They hurt so
Oh, I
bad.
get them in my
Um,
abdomen. I get
yeah.
abdominal
Oh,
Charlie horses. It is like the worst.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Look
I
at
want
Yeah.
to say,
someone.
yeah. I want to
Yeah.
ask you
Hi,
a
Eric.
question, but I want to say
Hey,
hi. Yay, Eric has found us. But
Yeah.
hey,
then
yeah.
this conversation leads me to a question for you, and is that what things did you learn personally that you've now implemented in your life? I mean, that conversation about the water happened while you were filming. And I didn't realize
Yes.
that you like really took it home and started using it. Are
Oh,
there other
yeah.
things that happened in the course of filming that you now implement in your life?
Yeah, lots of things. The sodium's probably one of the biggest ones, actually. And I, of course, picked up on it from Dave. And then it was really interesting when we filmed with you, Robin, that you had the soul water, because that's pennies compared to the packets are like $2 a piece.
Yeah.
A lot of the companies, they're very, very expensive. And so I thought, wow, that's really great, because that makes it really accessible for most people, easy to implement, in your daily life. So that was one of the big ones. And then also just upping protein. Like, even though I was eating low carb, I still wasn't probably getting enough protein, because I was still having cravings. I was like, gosh, people talk about going keto and just the sugar cravings just completely go away. And that wasn't happening for me. I would still have cravings for, carbohydrate or sugar, even though I was really low carb. But when I upped the protein, they went away finally. So it was
That's
like,
amazing.
okay, my body was still telling me, you need something more, you need something more.
Right.
And so that was a really interesting learning from the project. Yeah. So,
I'll have to say the worst cramp for me anyway is the inner thigh cramp.
oh, ouch. Yeah.
Oof.
Those are,
Because the cramp in the calf, you stand up and you're better.
Right.
mhm.
The cramp in the thigh, you stand up and it's worse.
Ugh.
And
Oh,
it can take it can take a half hour to go away. Walking around at
yeah.
3 a.m. So anyway, salt fixed it. Unless I get lack on salt, and then it obviously comes back.
Wow. Yeah. I have to be really mindful when I'm doing long bike rides.
Mm,
Because I think I just burn through the electrolytes. And even though I'm taking in electrolytes, I still sometimes get in a deficit. And then all of a sudden I get these horrible cramps, and it's just the worst.
yeah, I do. I'm
Yeah.
into saunas now. I do saunas at least 3 times a week, and that's
Th- Does
obviously.
that help?
Oh well, I mean, it doesn't help with cramps. It makes it
Yeah,
more
no, I'd
likely.
yeah, right,
You
right,
got to
right. Yeah, okay.
replenish.
Yeah,
Right. I see
yeah,
what you're saying. Yeah. I was
yeah.
going to say that's backwards.
It is.
Yeah.
So how's the film to date? I don't, I'm curious with all that.
Well, so it's been going really, really well. I mean, rose up to number 3 in documentaries in the UK on
Wow.
Amazon, which was amazing.
We're over
And in the
500 ratings and reviews, which is
Wow.
bananas. It's
Wow.
with a 4.9 average,
yeah.
out of 5, which is amazing.
I mean, I
And
can
then
tell
on
you our internal goal was 100. Like, to try to
Wow.
get to this, we're like, we hope we can get to 100, because it's very unusual for a documentary.
Mm.
But
yeah, and IMDb, which is the Internet Movie Database, which is kind of the source of truth for many films. It's kind of the Hollywood platform. I think we have right around 100 reviews there, and an
Wow.
average of 8.9 rating, I think, out of 10, which is really, really good. So yeah, I mean, it's
you
been
said we
well
have an
received.
8.9. I want to see
Yeah,
that.
I think it's kind of hovered between 8.5 and 8.9. So it depends on the day. Because we'll get more reviews in, and it kind of fluctuates. But yeah, let us know. What is
So,
it right now, Dave?
I'm going to sound like a snob. Oh my God, we're an 8.3. Okay, so I'm going to sound
Oh,
like a total
8.3.
snob
Okay.
here.
Let's come down.
But here's the thing. I used to go by Rotten Tomatoes. I will say
Mhm.
that I don't have the same level of faith that I used to in Rotten
Mm,
Tomatoes.
mm,
Yeah, it's kind of fallen
I'm
off.
not, well, there's definitely just a lot more stuff. I'm not gonna get into it now. I'll just say that it is to me a trusted source. IMDb is more of a trusted source. They have a greater and tighter verification process. And most films that are kind of in the mid range are like low sevens. That's usually
Mhm.
the vast majority of the films. And part of why I even know this is because I used to do data analysis for fun in a lot of different movies and see how much IMDb matched my own interest compared to, like, say, Rotten Tomatoes or others. And it was like really good, I think,
mm,
at kind of picking and getting the sense of quality. So
Mhm.
at the time that we had launched and we were watching closer on the ratings that were coming in, understandably more in Amazon, IMDb hadn't quite gotten wind yet. So there just wasn't much to look at. There was only like a few reviews at that time. But you're
Mhm.
right, we have like a lot more reviews now. So it's a lot more, it's 96. Yeah. So we have like about 100. That to
Yeah,
me is such a massive endorsement.
yeah.
And one I'm definitely very excited about that we're at
Yeah,
8.3.
anything above 8 is excellent on
Yeah.
IMDb because that's less the choir of our, the low carb community, the
yeah,
keto
yeah.
community. It's more general moviegoers on IMDb. So to maintain a rating above 8 on IMDb is really excellent.
And then
So
how will
yeah,
you track the YouTube? Um, well, how it does
it'll
there?
it'll show the numbers of views directly right on the, how a YouTube video, you go to it and
Oh,
it'll
okay.
it'll tell
So
you how many
so
views.
everybody will be able to see that.
How many views? Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah. So, and because it's available globally and free, it'll be interesting to see how that tracks. But I think it'll do pretty well given all the requests we've had for
Mm,
people to be able to see the
mm.
film,
Yeah,
in other
different parts.
countries.
Yeah, I know. I wonder what the list of people Dave is dying to have access to it, which will
Oh, it's
happen in
long.
about an hour and a half.
It is a long list. I really was, you were kind of, Eric, you were kind of a late-ish addition to the film.
Hmm.
And I can't speak to the why unless you've already seen the film. But let's just say that there was an additional nuance that you brought.
Mm,
But
sure.
the other thing was that I really appreciated that you were able to share, what your struggle was personally within the film and why it was keto was so life-changing for you. And
Absolutely.
and not to pitch my Substack, but I don't know if you noticed we have kind of an episode that's posted just to the Substack that we just released yesterday, and it's from another filmmaker, Carrie Mann,
Mm,
who is filming Healing Humanity, and his struggles are like your struggles
mm.
on the
And
carnivore diet. And I just, I say this with love in my heart because I know so many amazing, just very thoughtful and good-hearted clinicians, but I do want more and more of them to recognize how much diet can be a connection
I don't
and that
know.
not
I
everything can
know.
be found through medication. Again, fully acknowledging that their heart is in the right place, but who just don't know, who just do not know. And I hope this film helps to, make them more aware, particularly with stories like yours, Eric.
Yeah, well, I was watching that this morning, obviously, since that I haven't finished your the protocol with him. What's his name again?
Carrie
Carrie
Mann.
Mann.
Carrie Man.
Carrie Mann, yeah.
Wow,
Great guy.
wow, what a story. I don't know when
Yeah.
you first heard his story. I'm like saying about halfway through. Yeah, but now today, I got to get past this. Today I'm on OD's on Facebook, and I've put this out a few times, and it's just immediate from some people. Oh, that's just YouTube. There's nothing to this. There's no evidence. There's no this and that. And so then I start reacting to that, and then it's like the old days. When I remember one time Dave, said, "Hey, you need to stop."
You know what, Aaron, I
You probably
watch you
don't
on
remember,
X
but
all the
one day
time.
you
Don't.
said, "Hey, you're," and so anyway,
it's
so
it's at a
frustrating.
temperature level, right? Like obviously I participate to some degree, but yeah, you when you find it's having too much of a material impact on your quality of
Well,
life, then you
yeah,
should.
yeah,
So
but see, I thought I
Yeah.
was past that. I really thought, and I am past it, but I'm not. So, if that makes any sense.
this is what I'll say about that.
Yeah.
Trochalagian is such a great example of this. I think that there are many people, and
Thank you.
getting back to my own example of my, A1C of 6.1, that was just a
Mhm.
small blip. But then there's people like you, Robin, and you, Eric, who've spent a lifetime, half a lifetime
Mhm.
in this struggle. I can sympathize with what it is to feel like you've never been presented answers
Mm.
that not only are emergent, but that could be shared by those who should be the most aware of them, right? Like if it's your job, if Eric, you're an eye doctor, if there's some if there's
Yeah.
some new thing that came
Yeah.
up, but that is related to curative components of eye care, but for which isn't in your normal, track of things, such as if it's diet related, it would be understandable if patients of yours would be like, "Hey, why did you not know about this?" And if you were like, "Yeah, I did, but it's just not my thing," or it's something like that. That's what I feel like happens. Is a lot of people feel like, "Wait a sec, I kind of bought into a lot of what was brought to me by these institutions that said here was the appropriate diet that you need to be on, and here was the stuff that you needed to do." And then everybody on the healthcare side would point in that direction and say, "That's enough over there for your stuff. We need to do these, this course of action, pharmacotherapy or surgery or so forth." When in reality, if there is a possibility, not even a probability, we're not even trying to say that it's a
Exactly.
panacea,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But if there's a possibility of things like ketogenic therapy possibly being useful, I understand why so many people would feel upset when they feel like there's just kind of a broader pushback on keto overall, or they're pointing to particular people in the ketogenic community and being like, that's enough of a reason to cast doubt on the whole, modality. And it's like, come on, there's
Yeah.
people who are just trying to help themselves or help others. And to some degree, just be a part of that at least, right?
I wonder how much of it is, I understand the person criticizing says, okay, and that to themselves, I understand what that change in diet means to what I'm doing right now in my own life. That's not even a possibility. So I choose not to believe that this is possible because there's no chance I could stop eating Domino's pizza, whatever it is.
You're right, right.
I don't think that's a small part of it.
Mm.
I think one frustration, certainly one I feel on behalf of so many people I've seen who've had their lives transformed, like all four of us, but particularly you, Robin, and you, Eric, is this sort of assumption in advance that if they do hear it's a possibility that it could be useful, that they jump to the conclusion, but it won't be sustained. People just can't possibly go on a diet for which
Yeah.
they cut out all their carbs. That just sounds so unrealistic, and they would have a poor quality of life. And you're like,
Yeah.
compared to
Yeah.
the quality of life I'm working with right now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is everything, right? Like the question that what actually was asked of Matt in an interview, but would he change anything about this decision? And the answer is no. Like, look at what we have right now. Look at what our lives look like right now compared to what they look like before. And there's just no going back to what it was before. I know Eric feels the same way. There's no going back to the before. So if that means that potentially, without having any knowledge otherwise, my days are numbered a little bit shorter than what they may have been. All of it's unknown. We don't know. But if potentially my days are a little shorter than what we once thought, at least these were all amazing days
Mm,
that were filled
mm.
with joy, filled with connection. I healed relationships, all of that.
Yeah, yeah,
There's just no alternative. There's no dominoes. The
yeah,
dominoes are all
absolutely.
going towards
Absolutely. I mean,
a
it's
better
10
life.
years. It's 10 years in a different way of living that I didn't have for the previous 50.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, but let's talk about your recent CAC, Robin.
Well, I started to bring it up, and then Dave said it was a spoiler, so I'm not allowed
Oh,
to
we thought
talk
it was a
about it anymore.
spoiler. Oh, okay, okay.
No.
Well,
Listen, listen.
it is a little bit of a spoiler.
It's not that big of a. It's not like the whole movie rests on that. But
It
yes,
is. That's it. Please still watch the movie, even though you know this information.
Oh, please. I want the 5-year scans. That's what I want.
yes, yes.
I want the
Well,
spoiler.
that's not. I will say this. There's been even just some recent chatter in the last week with regard to that, and I can at least the powers that be allow me to do a little bit of open discussion, provided I caveat it a bit. And yeah, as of right now, the discussion is that we may be going with October of next year to do 5-year scans. The reason that that's actually more exciting than what we were first planning is that then we would have 6 years longitudinal and then likely average, because it depends on how many people we recruit and where the averages land, but a likely average of over a decade. So we'd
Wow.
have a bunch
Wow.
of people. I know that a number of them have maintained the diet this entire time. Not all of them will have, but we want to re-recruit everybody, whatever happened.
Right, right. Maybe
they
they
changed
didn't.
diet,
Yeah, yeah,
if they adopted cholesterol-lowering medication, if they didn't, whatever
yeah.
happened, we would love that, because that data would be phenomenal. It'd be
Yeah,
some of the
exactly.
best data you
Exactly.
can imagine.
And not as much as I want it now, the longer it takes, the better the data.
It's exactly right, because
I
I
think
mean,
the amount of people who do maintain the diet overall, that is great information in and of itself, because we keep being told that it's not sustainable.
Should be,
So,
Dave says should be dropping like flies. Yeah.
well, and here's the thing, statistically speaking, if you follow 100 people, average age 55, even if they're metabolically healthy, and particularly given, as you know, Eric, many people are like Susan Bruni, that many people are like yourself, who may have had a diet and lifestyle previously that might not have been the best for their heart health.
Yeah.
I mean, all of that becomes relevant, right? So you combine that along with literally 10 years at middle age. I do believe statistically we are going to have some number of people with potentially more severe disease, possibly even events and so forth. I just haven't crunched the numbers on what those stats would be. It's just that if you've got a decent enough sample, you will see that no matter no matter what group it is. This is kind of the thing I feel like I have to keep reminding everyone. There isn't a group that I'm aware of that are like middle age and are free of heart disease, that they will not develop plaque as a cohort. Are there individuals? Sure. But if you get a sample of folks, even if they look metabolically healthy on the outside and all the blood work looks great in this snapshot, you do longitudinal data on their hearts and you're going to see cohort-wide an increase in plaque. But if anybody has data on any group of people for which that doesn't happen, I'm very interested. I just want to be sure it's prospective data. I don't want any retrospective data where somebody can choose the cohort of people after the fact, and especially if it's within a certain pool. But anyway,
Martin Picard he was just on Diary of a CEO, which wow, I'm going to listen to that again the second time. But he put it the way I've never heard it put before. Medicine is a science of averages.
True. So true.
And the average may have no bearing to you.
Right.
But then I get doctors are busy. I'm busy seeing patients, and then you just okay, and you do the average.
Yeah. And definitely something I'm trying to bring more to the foreground, as you all saw in my COSI speech, is noise. There's a noise component when trying to study people really healthy, that we should be okay with acknowledging where it is, and then where it's not is the signal. But I think too often people want to find a signal where they should be more epistemically humble, and that where there's noise. But then that also gets to the, unfilmed sequel interesting part, which is you should be even more suspicious where there's a lack of noise.
Well,
Yes.
yeah.
Don't get Eric all worked up.
Well, exactly, but no. So the film that didn't make it in the film.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. There's
Still be in a manuscript.
Yeah, actually,
exactly.
I've already
Well,
talked
there's
about
some
this.
edits.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've talked about this before separately, but I'll just mention this now. And Jen and I know this all too well. After the events of Clearly from last year, there was for a period of time a different edit of the film that was looking to see if we were going to be incorporating it, up until the point that the credibility of that analysis had just tanked so much across so many people, including within our team, that it became obvious that the retraction was underway, and then there wasn't really much point in having it as being part of the film since it was going away anyway. So it was kind of interesting that there would ultimately be a cut of the film that would include it, but more and more we've chatted about this, and we don't know what the shape it'll be, and we don't know the timing, and we don't want to commit to anything. But we may have a follow-up piece to this that actually gets a little bit more in detail, because we already have so much of it in hand right now. And some of it's still developing. I'll put it that way.
I want to say one more thing. Jen's presentation of the patient stories is beautiful. And I think that's what, I've watched all the health documentaries out there. But I think this one, of course, I'm biased, but I just think someone sitting there watching it, well, they might say, oh, maybe forget the doctors and the science and all that.
Yeah.
I
We
want
have
to cut in real quick and say that we have hit an hour and a half. So we're an hour and a half into our conversation here. There's an hour and a half until the premiere. And there are 144 people sitting there waiting for the show to
Wow.
start. So
Oh my
it's
gosh.
super
Oh, that's
exciting.
excellent. That's so
Wow.
exciting.
Wow.
Also,
And
I
it
want to
won't-
remind you, Dave, there's a bunch of questions coming up. Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh yes. Yeah.
I was just
Okay.
going to
So
say it's a separate link. Do a
Yeah.
little housekeeping, Dave.
yeah, I'll do a little
Come
housekeeping.
on now, Dave. Clean this up.
Come on.
And
Yeah,
we're
I
talking
wonder
about-
if there's a way Jen could record or collect, people that watch the film and, hey, this did this for me. This is what happened.
Well, that's what's cool about the chat. We'd love to hear from people. Go hop into the chat, leave your comments. We'd love to hear from people who have been affected by the stories and by the film. That's what I love about this YouTube premiere. It's a great opportunity for this community to communicate and interact around the film.
So this is from Jacqueline Einer. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Dave, after you showed Dr. Cromwell the macrophages paper, that they look physically different, what was his response? He felt in the Simon podcast that the mutation only mattered at the level of the liver. All right, everyone get ready. Get geeky for a moment. So I'm going to try to make this, I want you three to be the judge on whether I layperson this enough for you. So plaque in the arteries. It's really largely two things. It's the cholesterol, which we hear about a lot, but it's also a combination of these cells our body makes called macrophages. Macro is big, phage is eat. So think big biological Pac-Man, right? And what happens is when they're getting the debris and stuff that's in that area of the artery, it creates what's known as foam cells. And the foam cells are effectively going to be these plaques that are a problem. Well, what he's referring to, or she's referring to, sorry, is the in a podcast that I had with Dr. Cromwell, who appears in this movie, by the way. He's a renowned lipidologist. In that podcast that was with Simon Hill, I brought up that those Pac-Men, those biological Pac-Men that we make, they're different for people who have a genetic disease, which we also talk about in the documentary, called, and it's a mouthful, homozygous familial hypercholesterolemia, or just let me say FH or HoFH. So if you're born with this disease, HoFH, you'll both have very high levels of LDL, and you'll have a rapid development of plaque. Those cells are popping up more and more and more all over the vasculature. So it's a very terrible disease to have, but it's also a disease that, when it was getting studied, definitely seemed very convincing of this direct relationship between LDL and the development of those plaques, because they were both hand in hand. But I've been very interested in literally the examination of those macrophages we're talking about. And there was a study that cultured them and took them off to the side and examined them, and found that those with homozygous FH actually had a different way in which they were trying to express the receptors and so forth, because they were changed. They were different due to the disease. So why do I bring that up? Well, because then that's something relevant to that development of plaque. Those Pac-Men act differently. That is separate from the cholesterol question itself. And that's kind of important, because as we talk about in the film, there are people that we feature in the film who don't have that disease, but do have levels of cholesterol comparable to people who have that disease. All right, my panel of three, how have I done? Have I
Well, let me throw one other thing
So
in.
far,
You
so
tell,
good.
yeah, tell me if this is right. If I'm thinking of it the right way. This is a layperson's attempts. FH has a problem. I'm going to generalize, pulling cholesterol out of the blood. And then, but what I think you're saying is the macrophages have a hard time pulling, we'll just say, cholesterol out of the artery. Does that make any sense? Because of people with FH have a hard time with their macrophages pulling the cholesterol out of the arteries. Oversimplification, is that even right?
A qualified yes, in my opinion. So the qualified yes is, yeah, we can't help it. We have to kind of simplify here. But yes, what I'm driving at when I was talking about that with Dr. Cromwell on Simon Hill's podcast is, I think it's an important clue that these macrophages are different. And the way by which they're different is potentially very important to its connection to the disease. The way to test, of course, would be to find people, and they just didn't exist before, find people who have levels of LDL comparable to those who have the disease, but their macrophages work fine, right? And then see if the same plaque development happens in the same way. And that's the data we're collecting now.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Let me see if I can get to another question. Okay, so hold on. So those of us who have to supplement salt forever and will never go back to SAD. I mean, again, I'll just reemphasize. For people like us, if you are somebody who finds you want to supplement salt or feel you need to supplement salt, I think that we're more of a fraction of the total. There's one of the guests I had on was Amber O'Hearn, and she actually recommends that there's some number of people who are probably over supplementing salt, so they're having too much salt, and that can be a problem. And I think that she's probably right on some number of people. This again gets back to what we were talking about earlier in the stream, which is find out for yourself, experiment, test. Don't assume. Getting back to the science of averages.
Mm-hmm.
Do not assume you fit into one of these averages at baseline. It's a good starting point. Averages are a great starting point, but you really should know that likely you have a lot of exceptions that apply to you. And it's your job to find those exceptions. No one will take ownership like you will of your health. And that includes figuring a lot of these things out.
Yeah, the individuality is important. And I would just want to add that I do have my blood work done, and I've never had an issue with it being over supplemented. I stay within the acceptable range for whatever that's worth. But I stay within the acceptable range. Most of the reason why I still put that Sol or Soleil in my water is because I prefer how it tastes now. So it's a taste choice for me. But I haven't had any issues. Of course, anything that you do, you have to be open to the fact that you might have to adjust it down the road. It might not stay like this forever. So that's just one of the things.
I have a question. I have a question for Dave. Double the amount of salt you normally use when you're militant keto. I'm not a huge fan of the militant word. Just gonna throw that out there.
That's fair. That's fair.
But okay, do an experiment. Double the amount of salt instead of 9 tablets, do 18. What do you think happens?
Honestly, I doubt it would have that much impact, but I don't know. It would
digestive upset. Wouldn't it give you pretty severe digestive upset?
possibly.
No.
And for what it's worth,
I mean,
I
it
want
would
to
have to be
emphasize.
pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you do. My understanding is you will typically urinate out the excess. But to be fair, I don't know where the rate limitations of these things are. I don't know how much would pass through the gut because it didn't get absorbed. I
guess there's
But
an
you have to
LD.
control for like sweat.
Yeah, there's an LD50 of salt probably.
Yeah, it's difficult to know for sure. It's just, we still have to come back to, there are things we need that our body may not be always as good at signaling properly the distinction of. So Jen earlier in the stream mentioned, for example, she needed to get enough protein, right? Now, in getting enough protein, and it's worth getting a little bit geekier on here, protein is not all one thing. It's a composition of amino acids, and some of those amino acids are essential. Some of them are non-essential, which is to say our body can make them, and some are conditionally essential, which is that under certain conditions, we have to get them externally. But regardless, we all need protein. We don't just need protein as a class, we need these specific amino acids. I think that the body, for example, if it's low on one particular amino acid, you're just going to need to get enough protein to get it. It's not like it can give you this distinct signal. It's not like you can go, yeah, over there in the red meat, that has enough lysine, cysteine or whatever that I specifically need. And I want you to, bring more of that back to me or something like that, right? I think some amount of our food is nutrient chasing that might not be as clever. And that's why part of it is you've got to, again, experiment to find out. But add to that it can still be transient, right? So you have enough salt today, you have enough protein tomorrow, but on the day after you don't. And then you're nutrient chasing, but you're not sure which. So part of this is just understanding yourself enough to know what those adequacy levels are. And just, acknowledging some amount of this is just trial and error.
And note that when Jen had the issue, she was craving like sweets and carbs, but protein solved the problem. So like you might not be able to read exactly what your body is trying to tell you, because it's going to come across in the framework you already built for yourself in your the way you used to eat. Right. So yeah,
it's definitely maybe misinterpreting the signal, right? Like that was maybe in my own mind, but yeah, it's interesting. Sorry, this yellow jacket is harassing me. Trying to get rid of it.
This is a great question for you, Jen. You might know this one. Can YouTube provide live closed captioning?
Yeah, you can turn on captions on YouTube. We actually have captions in English, Spanish, and French currently, so you can choose the language between those three. We'll be adding more languages as time goes on, but yeah, it's just the captions option. It's a little gear icon, I believe, on YouTube, and you could turn captions on or turn them off. Yeah.
And AI is getting really good. So the ones you're speaking to, Jen, if I'm not mistaken, are actually like curated, as in a human got involved in making sure that they were correct and perfectly, punctuated and all that sort of stuff. But that said, YouTube does a pretty good job of creating captions and transcripts that can be translated for us. It just may not always be perfect at it.
Mhm,
The
mhm.
spelling
Yeah,
will
those are,
definitely be off.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
those are the
about
ones that we reviewed, and yeah, pretty
my brain
accurate.
just went to Dave in the hospital in China. Do you think someone that you met there is going to see this today?
For sure. For sure. You heard me talk about this, right? It still
Yeah,
lingers in my mind today.
yeah.
Let me share that story real quick for people who don't know. In 2020, we went literally on a trip around the world, and I filmed a more DIY, if you will, version of what was going to be the documentary. It was going to just be a small handful of us. It wasn't going to be anywhere near as ambitious as what Wide Eye Films brought us, a few years later. But we did film a whole bunch of interviews, and at one point we were visiting. Actually, the very beginning of the trip was we were visiting China. Now, the punchline, everyone knows what the punchline is. We started in January of 2020. You connect the dots, China. So a bunch of my engineer friends go, "Oh, so you're the one. You're the one after you traveled all over that brought it everywhere." Anyway, no. So what happened is I'm visiting these different places, and then one of them is like, "Oh yeah, in this hospital we have a floor for low carb." And when they're saying that, I'm like, "Okay, so kind of cool. You must have an office on the floor somewhere." No, the whole floor of a hospital was dedicated to low carb. I kid you not. There was a library and meeting room, gigantic, that I was brought into, and the library, the shelf, had every low carb book that I was even aware existed. And this was in 2020, right? So it wasn't even that deep into it, but all of them, like just every single book that I was aware of, I was just blown away. And they wanted me to give a presentation, and I wasn't planning to give a presentation on this trip, but I was like, sure, no problem. And I want to say in the room we had there was a bunch of chairs set up. It felt like a classroom. It was like maybe 40 people that were sitting there, but in the back was somebody who was translating to this low carb Facebook group. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So how many people are live stream on that? And they're like, well, he's translating right now. It's about 20,000.
Wow.
There were 20,000 people who were and I'm not talking about views over time. I mean concurrent users on the stream watching my slides as I'm going through it, and he was translating to them directly everything that I was saying. I was blown away by that. I had no idea low carb was as big as it is in China. And in talking to the doctors there, I mean, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe just how much more there is. And I just have to fit in this one other thing. While there might be a lot of different things to say about China and how it does different things, on the healthcare side, I did not detect any, let's just say, external influences. If low carb was working, there wasn't some institution or anything that the doctors felt some heat would be leaning on them to maybe not go in the direction of like low carb. If it worked, and that's what they went with. Their main issue was a cultural one, which of course was, carbs are very much a part of, Asian culture, which is it's a challenge. But yeah, it's amazing. It was amazing. That was an amazing experience overall. And I'll just spend this one last thing. I was so excited that a lot of that footage, which we thought might not end up getting used, is actually used in the documentary, which was exciting. So
somebody in China is going to see your film today.
Yay! Yes,
one of those people.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, that'd be great. Be wonderful. Yeah, it'll be fun to hear if you guys watch the film. Get in the chat and leave a comment. Tell us where you are, and we'd love to hear where the viewers are and who's watching today. So yeah, don't be shy. Leave a comment.
Also, if it's like your first time seeing the film, definitely say it's my first time, because I'm sure some people will be watching for a third, fourth, fifth time. or a millionth time, and that's
Or
awesome too.
200th
But we definitely
time.
want to know the first timers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to overstate this, but literally we're just a little over an hour away. If you've seen the film or if you've not seen the film, but you're looking for this more enhanced experience, it's coming. It's in just over an hour, and we have such an amazing lineup of both people who are in the film and a lot of experts outside the film, but have a lot of interesting things to say. Some of them will be seeing it for the first time and will be sharing their thoughts then live. And
Yeah.
I just can't. I still can't believe it's so close. It's about to happen. Everything leading
know.
up to this key moment. Jen, I don't know if your ears were burning like crazy in that first hour, but I just had so much gratitude and
Aw.
acknowledgement of the enormity of class and effort that your team has put forward to put together this thing, to craft this amazing film. And I'm excited for the world to see it in
me
T
too.
minus 70 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been a challenging assignment, and there's definitely been some ups and downs, with the changes with the study and more information coming out, but I think the bottom line, I think it's the human stories, Robin, your story, and Eric, your story, that becomes such a powerful through line to the film. The science, of course, is fascinating and interesting and revolutionary, but then how it impacts people's lives, in a very real day-to-day manner, I think, comes through. And I hope people have been connecting to your stories, which is so gratifying. I'm glad to see that the message gets through, how transformative this way of life, that a nutritional path can have such a profound impact on people's lives. It's really cool. So thank you both for sharing your stories, and you too, Dave. I mean, you opened your house to us, and Sharon opened her house to us, and you guys let us have obnoxious camera people running all around.
I mean, if you guys don't want to
For
watch the
many
movie for
days.
any other reason, you need to see all of Dave's family photos that he has in his phone.
That's what I was thinking.
That's right.
Also, the video game clip is pretty priceless.
Yeah.
I was gonna make the joke. There's one part of my body that'll make a lot of appearances, but just even being that vague probably isn't the right way to present it.
No, probably not.
But that said, definitely my left hand will probably demand a credit later. And it's taken on an agent, so it's gonna give you a call pretty soon.
Yeah.
It's really become a prima donna. I'm just telling you right now. I'm uncredited in the
film. You're gonna have to get insurance on that hand.
Hey, true.
If you think about all the shots you shot through with my left hand, I mean, to be fair, it did make more appearances than any other person.
There you go.
So
50,000 photos of your food and your fist for reference. Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of the film, actually.
Oh, it's awesome. That's awesome.
I'd like to put you just went on this trip, so I would like to see Sharon's pictures side by side with your pictures that you took on this month, because I think they'll be vastly different.
Oh my gosh.
Are you keeping up the catalog, Dave? Are you still taking a photo of every single thing you eat?
I am, and I'll mention this now. At the time that I was doing this, because this has been over 10 years, and just a shout out to Susan, by the way. Thanks for watching this from Canada. Excited for it. But yeah, so think about this for a second. I'm taking all these photos, and I kept thinking, as my experiments were kind of winding down, because I haven't been able to do as much of the N of 1 experiments as I was before, I was like, okay, I could just stop. There's no reason I need to keep doing it. But more and more, I appreciated that, if ever there was a point in time where I was feeling sick or I wasn't sure if something was working on my diet, I was so thankful to have this like perfect catalog of everything I had and when I had
Mhm.
it. It also
Mhm.
became a means of recall. So there's a number of times where, for example, I'm like, oh, when were we over in such and such? And then I could just look it up by the photos because it's such a consistent photo taking circumstance, right? But now I've got a big game changer. The big game changer is I kept thinking, well, I'll never be able to like actually take the time to go through all of these photos. You know where I'm
I
going
know
with
where.
this, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
Yes.
well, now I don't have to.
Mm.
Now I could have AI reconstruct my whole diet for me because we're getting up to that point where I could just take all of these photos and because I had my fist in it every time,
Mm.
it can make use of that volumetric means to be a lot more accurate as to what it was I
Mm.
literally ate on those days. And
Wow.
it's kind of exciting that the technology would eventually catch up to my record so that I
Wow.
can.
That's amazing. Have
That's
you tried
fascinating.
running? Have you tried
Yeah.
running some of the photos through yet, or you just kind of prepping or
No,
thinking about
it
it?
does need to get a little bit further along in order for it to be cost effective enough because right now it just cost me $1 jillion on the tokens. And I don't know
Mhm.
that I would trust in its accuracy enough at this moment, but
Yeah, you'd have
I
to
think
run some
that'll
tests.
change.
Yeah.
Well, what I imagine is that it would be more like an interview process. I'd be throwing it to it and then they would start pulling over images and be like, so, what kind of this are you having because you have like 18 pictures of this and I can't determine which brand. Can you tell me what brand it is? And like basically just take me through all of those and then
Mhm.
connect it all and then it would all
Yeah.
be, together in one record.
I
But that's
wonder if
That would be
taking the
fascinating.
pictures as you were eating, you're like, well, I'm going to have to take a picture of this. Maybe I won't eat that.
no, well that was the other thing is accountability.
Yeah,
So
but yeah.
I will 100% concede
Mm.
that it was more powerful initially. Now OCD Dave is just like, I just need a complete record. Even if I'm not proud of the thing I'm taking a picture of
Okay.
now,
All right.
it needs to
Yeah.
get in there because it is what it is. So like when I was in Europe, I wasn't as good with my diet, particularly in Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But I'll say this, and I don't, everybody's on their own health journey. They should know and figure out what it is their own boundaries, what they can work with. I found that this is not me advocating for it, but I found that if I'm in Europe and I'm not quite as perfect on my diet, I have way more boundary control. And I frankly just think they have just like better composition of food there. Like any
Mhm.
random European country we've been to, you can see it. You can see it in their packaged ingredients and so forth. And I think it just comes down to we just don't have great
Yeah.
quality food here. We don't prioritize it as
Yeah.
much
Mm.
as they do. So
Yeah,
Which
there's
is so
something about
sad.
McDonald's fries in UK has 4 or 5 ingredients, and McDonald's fries in the US has like 19.
that
Yeah.
wouldn't surprise me at all. And I'll bet the
Yeah.
process of preparation is got 3 times, 4 times more steps. I'll bet you. And
Mhm.
that's just what's standard,
Yeah.
We got more comments coming in. I'm going to try to hit some of these at random. This one's from Susan. I've been following Original Atkins since 2002. Had my doctor's appointment last month. All is good with my health. And I'm no spring chicken these days. Congratulations, Susan.
Mhm. That's
We have
excellent.
another one. This is I have been low carb since 2019, and I have had this thought that statin therapy is only helpful by just inhibiting one's healing process, being able to slow the progress but not addressing the problem. Okay. Yeah, it's again, if you watch our film, it doesn't necessarily come to any distinction there. Like I don't want to spoil it there so much as it's kind of presenting the data, which has sort of been like my process, and featuring a number of people that are themselves in the sphere and what their opinions are. One thing that I'm very proud of, Jen, is just that a lot of documentaries these days, they don't feel quite as, I guess you could say, journalistic, with regard to
Mm.
this expert has kind of these opinions, this expert kind of has those opinions, and so on and so
Mhm.
forth. A lot of times they feel as though they have a core message and they're not giving any nuance beyond that. A lot of times they almost sound like this is the cure all, this thing that we're showing you, or there's only benefit that we see, and not even expressing any kind of uncertainty or anything along those lines. And one of the things I'm so proud of with our documentary is I feel like we do a really good job of portraying a lot that's exciting and emergent, but at the same time, that there's still a lot of nuance to it.
Mhm. Yeah, I think so too. I think, Eric, your story is a
Sure.
really good example of that. I also think, shout out to Dr. Brett Scher, who was so fantastic as, a medical consultant on the film. And, he was one of the people early on that, explains that, keto is not any one specific diet. It's a metabolic state. It's something that can be achieved through a variety of eating patterns. I think that accessibility to people who have different foods that they don't want to eat, maybe for, their own personal reasons, religious or ethical reasons. I like that it remains very accessible to many different groups of people. So yeah, I agree. I think we worked really hard at keeping the film balanced and presenting the evidence to people and let people make their own choices.
Yeah, exactly.
Not
And
telling people.
and let people know where, okay, well, we don't have evidence beyond this point.
Mhm.
You're never going to hear that from a doctor, I don't think. Even
Right.
even from an eye doctor. Maybe not. I'm a little better at saying I don't know. It took a long time in my practice before I ever said those three words. Shouldn't have
Wow,
taken so long.
interesting.
Those
Uh,
doctors always knowing everything all the time. But
or
that
yeah, well, my joke is if a doctor ever says interesting, you need more information. Because I'm gonna say, oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I do think that
that's
that's of
great.
note is that a lot of times you're watching a documentary and it is like the presentation of information is very much at the end of this, I want you to know this and I want you to do this.
Mm,
Not really how this one comes together. The
mm,
point of our
mm.
stories being in there is that it's a personal choice. I have to weigh this versus this and make
Right.
these decisions for myself. That's an angle that you don't see all
Yeah.
that often.
Well, yeah. How many science health documentaries say the science isn't settled?
Mhm.
Correct.
I think
Right.
I
one.
think I know of one.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
mean, we literally have that as a tagline, that the
Yeah.
science is never settled.
Yeah.
And this is sort of my complaint with some documentaries where it's like, actually, we've settled it for you.
Yeah,
we,
right.
Well,
we
yeah.
have
Yeah.
the answer. It's in this film. Take it with you. You can go from here, right?
And a lot of medical
Yeah.
papers do that too.
Yeah.
That's true.
And it's
Yeah.
unfortunate because I think that science really does need to always be on its toes. And I think a lot of being humble is acknowledging that we're wired to want things to get answered and to feel that that's done. Like, oh,
Mhm.
but that's been answered, and now I can relax about having to be stressed about that thing. Now I can just go ahead and move forward with all this other stuff I want to pay attention to instead. And it's difficult to take a step back for things that you felt already had gotten answered. But it's a skill. It's a skill you have to develop that kind of goes against that biological wiring we have to want to feel confident something has been settled.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real tempting to want to tie everything up with a bow in a documentary or any film.
Mm, mm.
There's definitely a temptation to want to do that, but that's not what this is about. It's about a journey of discovery. It's about people learning how to improve their own lives in a unique way that many people have been warned against. A lot of folks are going choosing a path that even their own physicians are telling them is not the right path. But they're rediscovering health, Rob, and reversing bipolar. I mean, that's just amazing. And Eric, your story of
Mm.
recovery, amazing. And so I think we took a good path with the film where we followed these stories, we followed the science, and we let people decide for themselves. Yeah.
And I think you've made it compelling because I'm apparently not compelling. Because everyone in my universe, that did that. Oh, okay. Well, where are we going to eat tonight?
Sorry, I gotta totally disagree with you, Eric. I can't wait to have you on the Feldman Protocol podcast. And I
Yeah.
think yours is one of
Yes.
the most fascinating stories, and it's one a lot of people need to hear.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
it's listen, every single story of people going low carb who find efficacy for something that they're dealing
Mm.
with in their life outside of just weight loss, right?
Mhm.
It's often not the first story that they hear that makes the difference. Often it's the 8th story or the 80th story, right? But
Mhm. Yeah.
just at least to know that it's a possibility and maybe that it's
Yeah.
worth exploring.
Well, and the fact that it's a story altogether, because a patient like me, when I learned this, absolutely, it was a patient story, and it just was like, okay, you know, it wasn't a paper or an RCT on
Yeah.
any diet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys,
People
we're
learn from
less than an
stories.
hour away. It's
Yeah.
less than an hour.
Mm.
I think I might hop off because I'm going to get ready to help moderate and help, be involved in the chat for the film. So I think I'm going to hop off and let you guys chat. Did you say Matt was available, Robin?
I text. I mean, he's in the house. I can walk away and try to go grab him. So I'll let Dave and Eric riff for a little while, and I'll walk away and see Matt.
Yeah.
But I want to point out one thing to just kind of piggyback off of Eric talking before I do that, and it's that he and I were both in a place where none of this is possible. It makes me emotional. Hearing deeper, not everything is out loud, but hearing personally deeper things that went on in Eric's life at its worst. It's a testament to what this lifestyle change can do, that both of us are sitting here right now. And I try not to overlook these celebrations. Actually, Eric's the one who wanted me to point that out when I was a little nervous about traveling, and he was like, "You're celebrating," and that's exactly what this is. And if the science, although I don't think it is confusing, I think it's very well presented in the film. If the science is confusing in any way, listen to the stories. It's still ongoing. Like, you can see us right now that we filmed over 2 years ago. This is where we are still today. Like,
Yeah, and it's from a place
not made
of,
up. This is real.
Yeah, it's from a place of every day. Well, this just will never get better.
Right.
And I know Dave had one day, and that's I'm glad. I'm
Yeah.
not glad, but you have a window. You have a little peephole into what was going on for
Yes.
days on end. And
Ellen,
that's
And it's hard to explain.
yeah.
That's why
I
wanted
don't
to
think you
point
can
this out,
explain
because
it.
you can't
Yeah.
explain what
No.
it feels like to be in those depths unless you've
Yeah.
had that for yourself.
Yeah.
So to notice you and I
Yeah.
sitting here
Yeah.
right now having
Absolutely.
a conversation upright, not laying
Yeah.
down.
Exactly.
Even that in and of itself is a
Yeah.
these are big
Yeah.
moments that up until, for me, 9 years ago, around that same period,
Oh yeah.
did not even know that was a possibility. That was not presented to us as a possibility.
no.
Medications were the only
No.
thing that were presented to us. So yeah, of
Yeah.
course we're going to be
Never,
excited about something that has a different path.
never once in 10 years a discussion of, well, let's just see, let's stop medicine. That's never.
That's not unheard of option.
Mm.
You were talking about those things earlier, like if you found something that had efficacy, would you try it? But there's also this other thing where, like, the off-label use, like, physicians and medical teams, they're quick to go ahead and be like, oh, one person saw using X pill off-label to treat this worked. Then there's this whole like rebranding thing, and it comes back out, and it's quick, and there's not nearly as much evidence to support the decision in rebranding a pharmaceutical as there is for our N, even if they are N of ones. There's not a comparable. Well, there's so much more that supports what we're doing than even that. Just I'm going to use this off-label thing. It's just it's wild to me that it's a quick decision. Yeah, we'll rebrand it, we'll market it for this as well, blah 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 blah. But somebody can say, I've been using metabolic therapies and I haven't had the need for pharmaceutical therapy for my bipolar disorder since. That's like, oh no, it can't work. It won't work. Hello, I'm sitting right here. Eric, you're sitting right here. We're right here in front of you.
We're not AI. I'm not a cat.
I'm pitching myself. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Well, it's exciting that there are some clinical trials coming out in this area, and that's been exciting to see.
Again, shout out to the Bazookies.
I was going to say, shout out to the Bazooki group. So much.
Yeah, and the pioneers in the space that are really pushing the science forward and helping so many people. It's really exciting. Yeah.
Well, Jen, why don't we let you go so you can get ready for the big premiere? You got to, walk the red carpet. And
yeah, I got to go change my outfit. I actually just have to go take a little pit stop, and then I'm going to regroup down at my office and be ready on for the chat, which I'm so excited for.
173 people are sitting there, and the chat is working.
Yay.
It's already out.
I bet.
Will the chat be preserved? I mean, is that something people can go back and look at later?
Yes. Yeah. So the chat will become basically comments on the film.
Oh, wow.
Once the live premiere is done, then it'll basically become comments on the film. And the link will remain the same. So if you're not able to catch it live today, just hit the same link. You'll be able to watch anytime from here forward, and you'll be able to review the chat and the comments too. So, yeah. But we hope you join us live. It'll be fun. It's going to be neat to see. And if you are there live, leave a comment. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And Robin, you said you need to step out for a sec. Is that right?
I'm gonna see if I can convince Matt to join us. So I'll be back in a few.
Love to have him. So yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'll see if I can get that started. Be right back. Good to see you, Jen.
Yeah, you too, Robin.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Good to see you too, Eric. All right, Dave.
Too, Jen.
Talk to you soon.
See you soon, Jen. All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
So, Eric, let me see. I'm going to actually...
I lost the volume on you.
Oh, you lost volume on me when Jen left?
Can I hear you?
All right, let me do it's going to be just us for a sec.
Oh,
there we
strange. Go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I've lost your audio.
Oh, no. Something about Jen maybe stepping out for a sec. If you want, you can leave and come back. If you want to do that, that'd be fine. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure why you might have lost your volume. I think you're trying to chat in real quick. So yeah, let's see, gosh, it's 40. So it's now 48 minutes. So I think what's going to happen is Eric is probably going to come back in again. I'm just blown away. So at this point we're let's see, 47 minutes away, and the film had actually gotten determined that this was going to be the date that we settled on after working it out with the aggregator. And the exciting thing was just that we knew from going all the way back. I'm going to add Eric now.
There, I got you.
Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Yeah. I was just explaining how this date ultimately got settled on. We knew it was going to probably be sometime in July, going all the way back to March. But at the same time, well, actually, there was some discussion about it maybe happening in June, but I knew I was going to be traveling a lot in June. And so I wanted to at least be in the States. And so here I am, and now I'm at New Orleans. And just, it's still kind of crazy to think this is really going live, like everywhere. But that was the one difficult part about when it got released in March, is we knew it couldn't get released everywhere. It was basically everywhere that Prime could support it for the release that it was. And we kind of worked with the aggregators a lot. And so if you'll recall at that time, that was the common statement I was making to everyone, was I was saying, well, it's not everywhere yet, but this summer it'll be there. Well, now it's not just this summer. Now it's today. Now it's less than an hour away. So it's pretty cool. I've got a question for you, Eric. When I believe you were following me and my work even before I think I even did my first big presentation that kind of broke fire, I want to say in Breckenridge 2017. Were you on Twitter following me before that?
Yeah, 2017. What I'd really like to do is search and find the first reply I got from you. I'm sure there's a way to see that. But yeah, no, how did I first find you? It may have been at when I think it was before, but it may have been your first talk at Breckenridge.
I think it was.
What year was that?
That was 2017.
Okay, so I watched that talk in Breckenridge. No question.
Oh, that's amazing.
But I think I was following you before that. Yeah. I mean, come on. I am obviously a nerd, but who doesn't want to watch someone eat? And I mean, we watch the eating competitions, hot dog eating competitions. You're sitting there eating and doing, gallons of blood work.
Yes. I mean, back at that point in time, I mean, I was doing, I don't know how many experiments I did this way, but there was at least one where I got my blood drawn every single day. And I think that's when I was syncing up. Oh, you know what it was? The first time I did it, it was on my own. The second time I did it, it was in sync with my sister. And we got a total of 7 blood draws, both of us, at the same time. We were eating an identical diet. Both of us were, and that was by design, so that when we got our blood work and I posted it, we could see if the patterns perfectly matched, in spite of her being lower levels of LDL, almost like half of mine, I believe. That's, by the way, still up at cholesterolcode.com. You can go all the way back, way back in 2016, I want to say, is when I did the tandem experiment or something like that, is what I called it. And you can see our numbers just like going in tandem together. And our HDL and our triglycerides are nearly identical throughout that period, including the patterns that went by. It's just the LDL that was different between us. So it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. At this point, I should actually publish it. I may need to go back to a lot of these experiments I did before as N of ones, knowing how.
Okay, before I forget it, I want to throw this out there.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it's a spoiler. Okay, we got 45 minutes. I may be spoiling something. Okay, you're okay. Well, boom, my cholesterol went way up, and now I freak out, and then I'll just couch it, and then you're like, well, okay, well, I'm gonna just look again, and the results you got the second time, that sends me not calling my doctor. I go to the ER. I'm just walking right in. Here I am. I'm dying, but you. How did you I mean, it was just an instant aha moment. It wasn't, that's still, I mean, how much, you'd only had weeks to research cholesterol at that point.
Correct. So a lot of the reason I give that extra context with my dad and my sister is because it situated it a bit more. So here I am, I'm learning everything I can. This is 2015, just to take everyone back real quick. It's the beginning of 2015. I'm going to my doctor in March 2015. I get my blood work. It comes back. I'm freaking out. And that's when I did the initial research to find out that, hey, the low carb diet is a way to manage this and to keep from developing diabetes. in spite of a lot of what I was reading in a lot of the other institution literature. I go on the diet, and my dad and my sister both get inspired by me going on the diet because I'm like losing a lot of weight and talking about how good I'm feeling. They go on the diet. My sisters struggled with hypertension. That was helping with the hypertension. My dad was not only dealing also with hypertension, but he was very far up there with an A1C of, I want to say 8 something. And so both of them go on it. I tell them what it was that I was seeing on the forums, which is, hey, your cholesterol might move, but it might not move a lot. Sure enough, that's exactly what happens for both of them. And they get their blood work before mine. So 6 months in, they get their blood work before mine. So what's happening, Eric, is as I'm about to get my blood work after theirs, shortly after theirs, I'm already hyper confident that it's fine, because the only reason my LDL would go up is what I've read from on the forums, that it sometimes happens with people genetically, that there's some people who have some genetic component, their cholesterol may change. But hey, my 2 first-degree relatives, they don't have it, so I'm probably in the clear. Then, as discussed in the film, one result got me, and I'm getting my blood work back. I'm seeing it looks great. Save the cholesterol doubled. My LDL doubled. What? And this was the glitch. The glitch was I couldn't reconcile it. I couldn't say, wait, what was different between my dad and my sister? If I'm thinking genetics or a component, there's got to be something different. And if anything, I'm like extra frustrated because I feel like I'm in better shape than they are. They would be okay with me saying that, because I am.
Your cholesterol should have gone down more.
Exactly. Like this doesn't quite compute. It doesn't make sense. So
So now parallel universe, they don't ever do the diet or the blood work, and now now what happens?
I've thought about that a lot. I think there's at least a pretty solid chance that in that moment, if they hadn't gone on it, I'd go, oh, I have some kind of genetic interaction with this diet that's problematic. The catch is that the day following me getting the blood work and me feeling depressed, I did start eating a Subway sandwich because I was thinking, okay, I guess I just have to get off this diet. And as I was eating it, I kept thinking, man, I've been feeling so good on the diet. I was training with running at the time. I was setting personal records. And I was like, but it just feels like the way for me. Like it really
intuition.
Right. And so as I'm like eating this sandwich, I'm just sitting there, I'm going, is it really this simple? Is it really like, and that's when I determined, okay, I'm going to get a second blood test. And when I get the second blood test, I could at least find out if there was some error, like maybe it's a lab error. And in between that first test and the second test, I find myself just getting really low. I become kind of depressed and my appetite falls off. And I'm almost like saying verbatim what happens in the beginning of the movie when I'm describing this, but it is an important part of the story. As that happens, I know I'm eating less. So I'm eating less fat and I'm eating less saturated fat. So Eric, of course, I mean, that should be the perfect experiment. Just make me eat less. And then my cholesterol should fall because that saturated fat that's driving it up, that's disappearing, right? That's not what happens.
but you there wasn't any doubt from that point forward that you needed to look into this more. It wasn't like, oh, they were right. I've been wrong all this time.
Yes, that was a moment for me where at a minimum, I thought, okay, I don't believe that lipidology is thoughtfully enough, in my opinion, looking at this physiological dynamism with how much these numbers can change.
Well, yeah. Now, that's fair. Yeah.
Now, for what it's worth, I wouldn't say that's exactly what my opinion is today. There are existing studies, lots of them, that show like changes that happen with cholesterol. It's just that it's a dot that's way over here. And then there's this dot with regard to cardiovascular disease, and those dots don't get connected very much. Right. So for the most part, if you talk to a cardiologist, they're going to think your lipid levels, regardless of when they were taking your LDL levels, they're not really changing that much from
Well,
morning
Cromwell
to
said,
evening.
Cromwell said that that's new information for us.
Right. And so here we also see that while it's new information, has that changed anything in the science? Or is there, are they going, wow, we need to rethink how it is that we do these studies. We need to, for example, we need to be sure that the fasted wind, like I would do this right now. If let's say a pharma rep, connected with me and they said, hey, I want to connect you to our researchers so that we at least make sure we get better science. I'd say I have a list of like 18 things I would do differently. I don't know if they would want to hear from me. But for example, timing of when the blood work is done, huge deal, right? Stratifying between those who are inflamed and who aren't, I think that's very relevant to what your lipid levels are, and that they can get modified as such, right? How do I know this? Because it's not even just me. My colleague Siobhan Huggins, as you know, has been very interested in acute phase reactants and has taken blood work when she's been sick. It can show how much those lipid levels change when that happens. That's hugely relevant if you're looking at sick populations. So the reason I go on this soapbox from time to time is, I know you've heard in the podcast, is this shouldn't be coming from Dave Feldman, engineer who just took this on 10 years ago. So here I am, I'm doing these experiments, and it's like, wow, there's just this whole undiscovered territory, or at least underappreciated territory within literature. And that's what got the blog going. That's the original, the movie, The Cholesterol Code, its title comes from the blog that's now old and I hardly don't, type into anymore, but it was that curious journaling. It was me.
I enjoyed those days. I looked for every one of those updates. I didn't understand all of them. Took me, I am a slow learner or whatever, but I enjoyed seeing all those. I mean, well, there you were just doing this for almost for fun. It felt like originally, but it became very serious business.
It did. I want to get into some more of these comments, including questions. This is from Cheryl. Will this be recorded for later viewing for those who cannot watch it live? Yes, that's both this that we're recording right now, but it's also the film itself. So it'd be great if you could watch the premiere with us, which is in almost 30 minutes. Eric, how crazy is that?
It's beyond crazy.
And but in addition to that, you can watch it after the fact forever. Like, it's going to be on YouTube, as far as I know, as long like Fat Fiction is the movie they had before this, and it was filmed 5 years before ours. So I'm pretty sure it's going to maintain a life on YouTube. By the way, it's also getting released on others such as Google Play and a bunch of other streamers over time. The aggregator is working on that right now. But
is it Amazon Prime? Is it there now, or will be?
Well,
in the US,
it's
I guess.
available for rent on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
That's what we know for now. But we have. Look at this.
Yeah.
We have Matt Dobbins joining us. Hi, Matt. How are you? Oh, he may not be.
I am good. I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, no problem. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
You also appear in the film. And
for a smidgen.
I would say you talk. You give a perspective on Robin's story that was very important, very impactful.
Well,
and
no actor can. I mean, there are good actors, but no actor can just say the lines you said, the way you said them. It's so. I mean, it's just so. This is so realistic because it's real. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that.
Oh boy, that clip of you that's in the trailer is just, it's powerful.
Robin said she's backstage.
Oh,
as well.
Thanks. Sorry, I didn't.
Well, I'll just throw this in there. I mean, Robin obviously is the star, but you Matt, you need to get a little mention because, like I say, your words and the way you say them is just it's just priceless.
Well, I appreciate that. I know when to add things and when not to.
Yeah, that's a skill I'm lacking probably.
Matt, you need to tell them about that. That's your favorite part of the film, the pointless extra part that you
Oh,
enjoy so much.
it's a beautiful moment, and you could actually add some soft music in there, and the moment where Robin and I come out of the office after Laura's interview with Dave, and it's a real touching moment because I honestly think Laura has the one line of the whole movie that just makes your heart drop when she comes out and Robin and her are embracing. I remember that moment because I thought it was going to be a group hug, and I'm like sitting there. I was like, "Oh, we're gonna have a hug as a family," and I'm like standing there, and then they both embrace, and I'm like, "Okay." So I start rubbing Robin's back, and Tom's like coming in with the camera, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna back away and step out of the screen. That's why I say I'm the pointless extra of the film. So I mean,
that's funny. I like that. I like how I need some comedy injected into that scene because that's
well,
it's hard to see.
It's funny. The moment I said that and I told everybody that, I think anytime I tell somebody that, they start laughing at that moment instead of having the heart drop moment of Laura and going.
I like the balance. I like the balance, and I'll steal that from you, and I will tell it to people as I'm watching it.
Enjoy the moment the first time you watch the movie. The second and third and fourth time, you can have that little laugh of, "Oh, there's Matt just backing away." So, yeah.
Yeah, but to Eric's point, I mean, you have one of the most emotionally impactful moments in the film, unquestionably. And on top of that, you demonstrate for everybody what it is to, be protective of your family, to continue working through this and making this possible. And there's just no diminishing that. I think you really have a lot. There's just nothing but positive to say about that.
Well, and it doesn't, it defies logic, the strength you had to get us to where we are right here today in 2026. It really defies logic. Of course, I don't know you, and I don't know everything you've been through and what you did to get to the point to where you could be in where we are now. So anyway.
Well, I think the biggest part of all of that, and to your point, Dave, I think, and I've discussed this with Robin in the past, so I'm not giving, she's not going to be shocked by what I say here. That, the tough times that we went through in the beginning, when she was basically sedated, I was just going through the motions as a father, not necessarily a husband. Just wanting to try to protect the kids and shield them from as much as possible. And a lot of people, I know we've had discussions in the past with people and saying, "Man, Matt, why'd you stick around?" And at the moment, if you asked me back then, it would be just because the kids. That it wasn't for, and I know this is a little harsh to say, it wasn't for Robin, it was for the kids. But the more I think about it, probably deep down as you start to peel the onion, I love my wife. I love Robin. I love her wholeheartedly. I'd lay down in traffic for her. She's my everything. There is a certain amount of me that remembered why we got together, why we fell in love, and why we always stuck together. And there was probably a piece of that in the past that we can get through this. We can get through this. I just need to be stronger. I need to be
Oh,
I need to be the backbone of the family at the time. And I think I'm not saying that's what got us through, but I think that was a portion of what got us through everything. It was really that determination that I'm not gonna leave my family alone with what's going on. You know, I would.
yeah,
I don't know.
you had enough
I
reserve in you somehow to do that.
I think.
That's
Well,
what.
I think it's more of I think it would be I would have felt like a coward if I had
Yeah,
ran.
yeah, no.
If
Well,
I
I
if
think
I ran from it.
You're not giving yourself enough credit. I mean, it's
yeah,
for whatever reason you just had the ability. Yeah.
we launched our Substack yesterday, and there's an episode on there that, granted, at the moment it's member exclusive, but it'll eventually be released. It's a Feldman Protocol episode, but it's with Kerry Mann, who's also a fellow documentarian, and as he shares his own personal story. And part of him sharing his own personal story is there's this feedback loop that unfortunately a lot of people who are really struggling get into, where they know how hard they are to their families. So it's like it's a double hit. It's like on one side they're struggling so much personally, on another side they love everybody who's having to struggle themselves trying to take care of them, and it makes it harder. So it's not just, being present and being there for them. It's that sense that there's a way out, and that there's still things they can do, and that you're still at their side, that can make so much of a difference to make it possible to get there, right?
Yeah.
And it's so tough, but that's what I think is such a touching part of the story. Is at the end of the day, it was always going to take a group effort. It was always going to take all of you to
Right.
make it possible for Robin to get to the solution and to find that place for
Yeah.
for
So
all
yeah,
of you.
sitting on the couch looking over there, part of Robin and me thought, well, maybe that's people are doing that, and maybe that's something I could do again at some point.
Well, I think that's why it's so important what you're doing, Dave, with the film and telling these story, Robin's story, Eric's story, Matt Bazuki's story, all of them, putting them in the movie, because I think there is more to the cholesterol story than just the LDL and everything, story. There is hope and health on the end of it, and I think you and Wide Eye Productions and the Buzuki Group have masterfully put this together, just to tell a wonderful story of just hope. There's hope out there. There's other ways. There's other avenues that you can take, and from somebody from my perspective, if there's anything I could tell anybody that is in my shoes or is going down my journey with somebody that is struggling with mental health, it is, you can't run. You need to stick around. You need to fight it out. You need to be that wall for them to help them through it. But yeah. So
I'm having to do this on
Matt,
my phone. I can't see if Robin's crying. I'm trying to look
no,
in
I'm
there.
not crying. I'm
no,
used to hearing him talk about
please.
this stuff.
I'm the crybaby. What are
He's
you
the
talking
cry.
about?
Okay.
That's actually going to lead me to this question that I was going to ask you, Matt. Is that, I know what happened in the filming process. Dave knows what happens in the filming process, but only so much can be added into the film. So not a lot of what you say is actually in there. Just the very key important parts. But that process for you, I think you went in there with one expectation. I hope you know where I'm going with this, but
I
it
hope so. I don't know.
immediately changed as soon as the conversation with Dave started. You have a level of emotion I know you had a level of emotion specifically while you were talking with Dave during your interview, of anger, like real true frustration with this. And I think this process, having gone through the process of being in the film and then later having more conversations, you've been on a couple podcast appearances and you've gone to the events and stuff along with me, to kind of process what it's like to be that person on the other side, the caregiver, if you will, on the other side. Like, you didn't know what to do with that energy, and it comes out in the interview, but not all of that is in there. So why don't you speak to like that process? What happened when you started talking to Dave? The stuff
Oh,
that's
sure.
not
Why
in the
not?
film.
Why not? Why not? Right. So, I mean, I like to put the image up of I'm, very stoic and very, very closed off. But right when I sat in that chair and Dave started asking questions, I don't even remember what the first question was, but I lost it. And I think it's almost like those moments, and we talk about with our kids that, you take these emotions and you push them. I do, anyways. I bottle them up and I push them way down, and then all of a sudden somebody starts asking you questions about those emotions and things that you've kind of held on to for a long time, and it just goes blah and comes out all in one time. And that's exactly what happened in that moment. And I remember Tom, I'm gonna bring Tom up again. He was behind Dave videoing, and I can just feel the lens zeroing in on my face because I'm just tears and just raw emotions and anger coming out of me at that moment when Dave was interviewing me. And a lot of it had to do about the health, just the health industry, and how angry I was that we had to go through so much to get to this point. And I'm starting to get angry again. I think that was one of the biggest, probably the biggest, like, just explosion of emotions that came out of me was going through that again, of the numerous psychiatrists that you saw and the amount of time that we had to switch medications or titrate up or titrate down, and just how it could have been so much easier if we just knew, so I don't know. I think we interviewed for probably a little over an hour, and I think I cried the whole time. So,
listen,
I
here's
got one
the
quick
thing.
question. Did Robin wasn't in the room when you were being interviewed?
no.
And so when did y'all, I mean, that part, so say something about that.
We really didn't talk about it. Even Laura didn't talk about it. In fact, like the interview process itself, like after it was over, it was such a whirlwind. It was hard to recall. So we didn't hear what each other talked about until that first screening in
That's
Vegas.
crazy.
Which is
That's
why, like, Laura
crazy.
was super emotional afterwards because she thought she had just
I
done me
get
wrong,
it.
basically.
I get
And
it.
I
That's
no,
great.
she
Wow.
did
Wow.
such a good job.
And here's
Wow.
the thing, guys. I mean, I beyond just expressing appreciation for you taking us inside, for you sharing these deep, important details. There's such moments of vulnerability. It cannot be overstated how much you are right now helping so many people, because they feel like you felt alone, right? Like you're kind of stuck in your own struggle that you can't feel a connection with others on. And just like so many other things in life, it's only until you can see in other people their stories that it connects you with real world solutions, and it makes it possible. So I could not be more thankful that you trusted us to bring that to so many others.
Well, and I appreciate that. I think the moment that made everything kind of real for me that this was actually happening, that we were going to be in this film was, I think we scheduled, we had schedules of when we were going to be doing the interviews. And if I remember correctly, Robin went a little long. And I'm sitting there at the house. I was like, well, I got to be there at, within 45 minutes. And then so I start to pack up to leave, and here comes Robin down the road in her car. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's Dave Feldman in the car. And he is coming to my house. And they pulled up, and yeah, it was great to meet you, Dave, and to have, I think he ate a bunch of hard-boiled eggs that day at the house. So
yeah, I'm not actually sure what's going
Dave
on
went
with
away.
my camera.
Okay, you're still there. I was just making sure you're still there.
I can't
okay,
hear
we
you,
can't
Robin.
see you, but we can hear you.
Yeah.
You can hear
Can't
me,
hear
right?
you, Robin.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what happened with my my camera. Something happened with my camera. I'm not sure what's going on, but
I guess we're getting close to it going on YouTube.
yeah, not sure what's happening here. Hold on a sec. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
That's bizarre. For whatever reason, my camera's not working. I'm trying to change it. Okay, I think I've got it.
Yeah, I've got a question for Robin.
Very strange.
Did you feel as alone as I did in your deepest moments? I mean, I really remember going to Love Carolina basketball, and I'd walk in the Dean Dome, and there's 26,000 whatever. I'm like, I'm the only one in here that feels like this. I mean, I wasn't, I'm sure, but did you have that just extreme isolation? Like everyone in the world is doing pretty decent, and here I am.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay? Because Matt said you couldn't hear me before.
I can.
you hear me?
I can hear
I had
you.
to.
And
My
Dave's out,
earbuds
too.
stopped working. We overused
I can't hear
my
Dave
earbuds.
or her.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
I
I
can.
can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Sorry. So I
It's
think
weird. I can hear Eric, but I can't hear you two, and you can hear me. I'm gonna jump off, and I'll jump back on.
All
Okay.
right.
Good.
So the isolation was all the time. Like I think it goes back to like I never felt good enough. I never felt like I had
Yeah.
any value.
Yeah.
So I, watching other people be successful or other people having friend groups and all that, like all of that, I was like, I obviously am not worthy enough to have that opportunity for myself. And so that's what was really lonely. And
It's
then let's
very
add on that I
isolating.
have 2 young kids and my whole world is just being home with the kids. So
Yeah.
it was hard to it was always hard to feel like I had a place where I could fit.
All right, I got you.
Yeah. It's I don't think I didn't feel worthy as much as just like completely broken. Like there's no fixing this, and why am I the only one like this?
Yeah, you've talked to me before about like people saying have a good day to you.
You read my mind.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I was in the grocery store and getting my receipt and have a good day. I was just like, you didn't just say that.
Yeah,
Why?
I don't
You
deserve
have
a
no
good
idea
day.
how harmful that is
Yeah.
to say to me right now. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, to that point, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
No, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
To that point, Eric, we were talking about being feeling alone. I think a lot of people should understand that there are groups out there now that embrace you. Robin's a part of one. So if anybody's watching this, you reach out to Robin. There's groups out there with different organizations that are live online, and you can be a part of that community and be with people that, I mean, honestly, for caregivers, there's caregivers out there that can help you through, and then there's people that are going through the struggle that can help as well.
Absolutely.
You guys, we have like 15 minutes left until this premiere.
It feels like New
Yes.
Year's Eve. We're waiting for the ball to drop.
For the ball to drop. Yes.
I'll switch over 245 people are waiting for it to start. That's where we are. This is amazing.
That's
You
a
know,
big
earlier
theater.
when Eric came on, he was asked. He said, you know, you asked you if you were excited about people seeing it who may not have seen it yet. Any particular standouts, Dave, of people that you just can't wait to see this film?
Oh, well, obviously there's a number of people who I've been chatting with for a long time who said, I just cannot see it where I'm at. So there's a number of people that are in some of the European countries that don't have access to it yet, even to rent, which includes, I think, Italy, for example. I think I have some people who've reached out to me from Portugal. I think I had some people who work. I'm not sure if we're in Germany. I don't think we are though. But just a bunch of places that now we'll be able to see it. They'll now be able to see it. And I kept thinking the 17th, the 17th, the 17th. And, you know, eventually it was the time. And now here we are. We're 11 minutes away, 11 minutes away from being able to see it. And so now I can actually chat with him about it. Now I know there'll be a lot more content around it, a lot more people that just point to it and just say, hey, here you can just watch the film yourself right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people. I'm one of those people that has a subscription with YouTube, so I could watch it ad free.
Yeah, I was gonna say it is available for free, but it depends on your subscription. So if you have the subscription, no ads. If you don't, there might be ads. Of course, you probably have no control over what those ads are, and they're probably not going to be in line with what you would recommend. But but just ignore that and keep watching the film.
Yes, but yes, officially. It's the 10-minute warning, guys.
10 minutes.
Wow.
And Robin, you've been with me this whole time. We've been chatting for 3 hours for this pregame show, and movie's about to start. So anybody still needs to get their popcorn and their, their
Well, now this ends when the film starts, right?
Yes, I'll be closing it up.
We'll move to using our fingers in the chat.
I need to go get my computer booted up.
Yeah, feel free to step out. Any of you guys feel free to step up.
Yeah, I'm going to step out and get ready for the ball to drop in 9 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm seeing that the chat is already live over there. So, it might be time to wrap up with some final thoughts, excited thoughts onto what this next step is. And then the streaming is not here. The streaming is.
Yeah, I want to say just congratulations to Dave. That's all I want to say.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
congratulations.
We'll wrap it a few minutes. Robin, if you want to stay on with me for just a few more minutes while we try to catch up some comments, kind of rapid fire. Thank you guys all.
Well, let's see. Becca Austin, thank you so much for the kind words.
Yes. We have Successful Keto Lifestyle. I still have my Citizen Science Foundation pin from Keto Orlando Summit in 2022 and Hard to Kill Summit in Omaha. That's great. Thank you so much. Another congratulations. And of course, I like this. We've got a see you over there. We'll see you over there, Susan. And yep, we have hop on the YouTube link before the top of the hour. So whatever you're watching the stream in, there should be the link in the description or just below. So if you haven't yet, be sure to check onto it. And I think we're getting close to wrapping here.
Yeah. So, and if the link isn't working for you, just go to YouTube, type in the cholesterol code. See you in a bit, babe. And it's Indie Writes Movies for Free is where it will pop up. That's the one.
And yes, Nick Norwitz is going to be jumping on as well. We're going to have so many big people on. It's crazy. And we're just a few minutes out now, Robin.
I know.
How nuts is that?
Here we go. It's almost time. I see Wide Eye on the actual page just said only 10 minutes until the live premiere. And I don't know if you saw. Well, I sent it to you in a text, but that was my ex this morning. Was the starfish being? It's the sun is shining. The tank is clean. Like that. Like that's the excitement I felt when I opened my eyes this morning. This is the big moment, and it's just so exciting. I'm so happy for you guys and the whole team, and this is a conversation that's worth having, and this film just highlights it so well. The nuance, the individual choice, the the decisions that need to be made, all of that is just so very clearly portrayed in this film, and it's time. As Amy Berger said, the world is ready for this.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. All right, Robin, I think we'll call it here. I'll see you in the theater.
All right, let's hop over there. I'll see you there.
We'll
Great
see you
time.
shortly.
All
All right. Thank you, everyone who joined us. Cheers.